Be right back. Okay. Alrighty. Oh, I guess I don't need my light yet, but Christ, there we go. Getting so, where's this at? Oh wait, it was right there. God damn it. Pardon me. So to kick things off, guy who interviewed me the other day, Lord Kanak, uh, he had an upcoming debate when he talked to me. And I told him during that interview, not like just to be nice because I was interested in it, that I would go over his first, well, I guess technically second debate that he streamed on my stream. I guess the first one was him talking to me about veganism. It was a very impromptu debate, but it was still a debate. We went around and around for a bit, but I think I got him pretty good with the consciousness and AI stuff. I guess that's neither here nor there. He's debating Young Baby Tate, what a fucking name, about pro-life versus pro-choice. I have like a really long video that somebody submitted for me to watch, but I don't know if it's I don't know if I can show it on YouTube or not. I gotta figure out how to find that out. I'm gonna blip my camera off for a few. I got some very expensive chili cheese fries from a vegan restaurant, and I want to eat them before they get colder. But I'll just be out for just like very briefly.
And
Just gonna stuff my fat fucking face
you
for a few
guys
minutes.
can have your opening statement. Who wants to go first?
I would let you start, since
that's
you're
loud.
against it, and yeah.
Oh, good on
Everything
him.
is per se moral until someone is against it, so. Right?
Okay, I got you. That works for me. Okay, so I guess I would say I just put it in terms of a pretty brief argument
There it
against the
is.
permissibility of abortion, which is the first premise is that it is generally wrong to intentionally kill innocent human beings. The second premise is that the unborn are innocent human beings. The third premise is that abortion kills the unborn. And so the conclusion is that abortion is generally wrong.
Are people usually that fucking pedantic on modern day debate? Because like, it's not a premise that abortion kills the unborn. It's what it means.
And I would say that that comes from a standpoint of so I mean people could dispute I guess the first premise. I've had a debate on that topic before. So is it always wrong to kill innocent human persons? And I would say that it's always wrong to intentionally kill innocent human persons either as a means or as an ends, if that makes sense. So I couldn't kill there's an extreme moral difference between unplugging someone and allowing them to die of some other natural disease or something and smothering them with a pillow, for example. And the other thing that I would say is that I think people generally agree that it would be wrong to kill young children for any reason. And so my concern would be that I think we should extend that to even younger children who are still in utero. The question of whether the unborn are human beings.
Wait, this guy said for any reason. Do you think it would be wrong to kill a child to save your own life? Well, I guess that's not really the question that I want to ask here. Oh shit, my kick title's not been changed. Because Restream doesn't do that. Give me one sec. Um, yeah, I feel like baked into his premise one is that you can't kill an innocent person to save your life, which is a dog shit argument, and just as innocent as they are.
Is also something that I would say, from a scientific perspective, isn't really in dispute. The majority of embryologists agree that the unborn from the moment of fertilization are members of the human species.
They have no bearing on whether that's accurate or not. If you're an embryologist, uh, that means you know a lot about what embryos are. That doesn't mean that you know a lot about how to define what a human is. That's a silly point to make.
It seems like more of the dispute comes from the question of whether the unborn are persons, which is to say that they are people who are deserving of strong moral consideration. And
Knack better not let him get away with that.
that's something that we can get into in the discussion, because I think that might be where we're going to end up disagreeing. And then I also don't think it's in dispute that abortion directly kills the unborn. The question of the matter would simply be if the unborn matter or not. Yeah, I think that's a sufficient opening statement.
Yeah. But Kanak, it's your turn. I'm gonna start the timer.
All right, thanks. Yeah, you have rephrased your statement a little, your deductive argument a little bit, but still, I think I still have the same problem with it. You have formulated something of the type of all humans are mortal, Socrates is a human, therefore Socrates is mortal. In order for that to work, the first premise has to be that it is always immoral to intentionally kill an innocent human being. Most abortions intentionally kill an innocent human being, therefore most abortions are wrong. Is that like
Okay.
that's the only way
Yeah,
it would work?
Yeah, I think that is. I think that's the way that I originally phrased it, and I think that actually would be
Yeah,
the
you
best
left
way to phrase it.
yeah, you just left out the always, so I just wanted to add it such that it is like logically correct, and I didn't want to do it without asking you first.
Sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think the way that I rephrased.
Knack just one if he wants to. That's it. Once he allowed him to insert that always, because that is how that kind of reasoning is going to line up. But almost always, when you're giving premise conclusion, he would have to have that always in there. So the whoever he's, what is it, young baby Tate could have said, well, it's not always, but and then they could have gotten into that. But since he said always, like I just think if I was baiting that guy, it's all over from there. You can drag him all over the place with that. That's crazy that he would say that. I don't know if he just lacks imagination or what.
The way you phrased it, you added generally,
yeah.
which takes away
Yeah, I added generally.
yeah, which takes away like basically the deductive, like you can't deduct anymore the moment you say generally.
Yeah.
When you say it is generally immoral to
Pardon me.
intentionally kill an innocent human being, and then you say most abortions, then you cannot go from that to the third statement if you because the abortion could be the edge case, right? Could be the case where it's not valid.
Okay, yeah, maybe if I had said it's prima facie wrong to kill an innocent human being, then abortion is prima facie wrong. But yeah, I'm willing to defend the statement that it is always wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being and run the deductive argument from there.
And then you say most abortions intentionally kill an innocent human being, right?
Yes.
And then there with that, I also have a little problem because that would imply that there are abortions that do not intentionally kill an innocent human being, right? So that would mean either.
I think that, yeah.
If you say most, that would mean that, right? So that would mean that some abortions kill guilty human beings, right? I don't think that you defend that, right? You don't defend
I think
that.
that some No, I think what I
Okay.
would say is that depending on how certain people that I've talked to in the past define abortion, sometimes they will say things like a salpingectomy to treat an ectopic pregnancy is a
Okay.
kind of abortion,
Just
or
let
something
me.
like a C-section.
Can I just walk you through like the so I have to walk you through that because it's like when you say there are abortions that do not
Oh, pardon me. Sorry. I was just checking, making sure that my Stream Deck pause button's gonna work and not like unpause like my music or something like that.
intentionally kill an innocent human being, that would mean one thing out of three, okay? So there is only three options. So it's either some abortions kill guilty human beings, then that would be true, or some abortions do not kill human beings. That's actually my position, like the personhood argument. The third one would be some abortions do not intentionally kill an innocent human being. That would mean accidentally or something like that. So the purpose is not like the intention is not to kill an innocent human being, it's just an accident. So it must be one of these three. It can't be a fourth.
Yeah,
there is no
I
fourth
would.
option. But
Yeah,
what
I
I
would
think
say.
what
I
you
think.
actually mean, I don't think that you mean that actually. If I can may suggest to you something, what you mean it is that in some cases of abortions,
Wow, he's tearing in here like on a much higher level of like intellectual scrutiny than I would have than I expect like almost anybody to. I respect that a lot actually. That this is I think this is gonna be pretty good.
the primary objective is not
I thought it'd be good insofar as that I thought Connect would have probably win, but I mean it's pretty good insofar as I think this might be like of a higher quality than most debates that I watch because of that. For me personally, at least.
to is not getting rid of the baby but saving a mother's life, right? Is that what you mean by when you say most?
Yeah, I
Most
would say that
abortions?
there are some. I would say that depending on how you define abortion, there are some abortions that do not intentionally kill an innocent human being.
I mean, they do intentionally kill an innocent human being. It's just not the primary objective. It's not. It's not
No,
the
I would.
goal.
No, I would actually say that they don't intend to kill an innocent human being, even if their death is foreseen. That would be my moral stance.
So it must be
He's
done
wrong.
accidentally.
What?
Right.
It's like, oops, we didn't want to do it, but we did it. It's not. That's not the case. Like there is no abortion like that.
Well, if you would consider something like a salpingectomy for an ectopic pregnancy and a
Sorry,
kind of abortion, I would say
I
that
don't
that's
know what
sort
that
of.
is. I don't know what that
Okay,
Not
is.
an
so
accidental.
an
But
ectopic pregnancy
but
is.
I
Oh,
don't know if
sorry,
we
did
have
you
to.
want to say something?
Yeah, I don't know if we have to get into like edge cases. It's just like normal abortions. The goal, whether it's saving the mother's life or not, it's intentional to like no one would argue that the intention is to
Uh-oh. What's going on here?
get
There we
to
go.
kill the fetus or to kill the zygote.
I think that some people would probably argue that, and I would say that de facto, whether they say they are not intending it, I would say that they are in fact intentionally killing a fetus
So you are
or
saying
an
that
embryo.
there
Oh
are
my
abortions
god.
that accidentally kill innocent, like
Well,
that accidentally kill.
Connect, let me find out that you picked this fucking guy because you knew you could just pick on him. Oh my god. I wonder how he selected for this guy, because this guy's not. I don't have a lot of confidence in his opponent here at all.
Innocent human beings.
I want to be nice, in good faith, give the guy
well,
a
so
chance, but
for
like,
instance, if you would consider,
it doesn't
like I
look good.
said, if you would consider, and we don't have to, if you don't want to get into the edge cases, then
I mean,
I
you
suppose
can.
I can just
Give
say
me an edge
yes,
case.
and
Give me an edge case. Give me an example of an abortion where the intention is not to kill the fetus or zygote or whatever.
okay, sure. So one
This isn't
example could
fair.
be if a mother has uterine cancer and as part of her treatment for that, she receives
It's not an abortion.
chemotherapy. The doctor foresees that the fetus will probably die, but that is not his intention.
Then it's
And
not an
if
abortion.
the fetus could be saved,
Yet
he will save.
An abortion is a procedure by which a doctor removes viability from the fetus, and is generally going to remove the fetus as well. I think that's all that you'd have to qualify for it to be an abortion, if I'm not mistaken.
Save it.
yeah, that we
He's
would not
describing
call
different
that an
treatment.
abortion.
Yeah.
Like we would
Okay,
either
just some people would. So I guess that's the only reason that I put this whole stipulation in the syllogism, is because
Okay.
I don't actually know your position.
Mhm.
I
Can
didn't
you
know what
define-
direction this was going to go.
Can you define abortion then for me?
Good.
Yeah, give me a second here, real quick. I think I
Good
have it
man.
somewhere in here.
That would be
in my
good, I think,
notes.
because you seem to have like a special definition, which is okay, which is totally fine.
Give me just 1 second.
I respect that too. He's like, if you want to define it differently, you can. That's fine by me. That's I
guess I would just
insinuate
say
towards it's
I would
ballsy.
define abortion, especially the abortions that I'm opposed to, is the direct intentional killing of a living unborn human.
Yeah, so where the primary objective is to kill the zygote or embryo or fetus or whatever, right?
Yeah, and I would say that most people would probably say that the primary objective is to end the pregnancy,
Yeah.
but I would say that killing the unborn human being inside is the means by which that end is achieved.
Yeah, I mean that's like the whole
It's a
matter of
descriptor
the debate
of-
is what we call what is being terminated, right? So I don't
Yeah.
want to I don't want to get fixated on the term, so because that's basically what we're discussing. But so you're basically saying if the primary objective is not, for example, to save the mother's life, then it's immoral, right? That's what you mean.
Sure. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can go with that for
Mhm.
the sake of the discussion.
Why, for the sake of the discussion? Isn't that what you said?
Well, what I would say is I don't think that, for instance,
hold
if
'em
someone
to
were
it.
to do an abortion procedure where they were directly and intentionally killing the fetus in order to save the mother's life, I would say that they should be pursuing other options to save the mother's life
No,
that may
yeah,
result in fetal death.
yeah, but like when that's the only option basically to save the mother's life, then we would be fine with it, right?
I'm not aware of any medical cases where the only option to save the mother's life is to directly and intentionally kill the fetus.
Wait, you say you are not aware of cases? There are cases
I'm
where
not aware of cases where that is the only viable medical option. I'm aware there are cases where doctors often recommend abortions.
you know
but-
that you know that it you know how what birth like you know the history of a woman dying at birth, right? Like you must know that. Like that's
Yes.
like
I
a
do.
known thing. Like that's something we as humanity have been battling like for forever. Like and
Yes, I agree. No, I agree that there are that
the death at birth is like has been reduced by an immense amount by medication and lots of treatments, different types of treatments, but in some cases the childbirth is a really dangerous process. That's just the way it is. It's just the facts are there. Like,
100%.
and
I didn't want to give the impression that that's not what I believe.
So-
So I definitely agree that, childbirth can be extremely dangerous, and there are
Yeah.
definitely plenty of cases where the mother's life is at risk
Mhm. So in that-
because of her pregnancy.
So just that we don't have to talk about this case anymore. In that case, you would be fine with it, right?
Let's just say yes.
You keep saying let's just say yes over, but you are basically agreeing with me, and when I'm asking you to agree with me, then you're saying let's just say. That's kind of, I don't know, that feels dishonest. That feels like you're saying yes because you
saying
have
no.
to, but you don't want to get pinned down on it.
I just think that the way that you're framing it is a little unclear when you say abortion is permissible because the mother's life is at risk. And I'm saying fetal death can be permissible because of the mother's life being at risk, but I would say that it's not permissible to directly and intentionally kill a fetus because the mother's life is at risk.
But
I
What is he even
don't
saying?
think in
I don't know
the
what that
modern
means.
world there are any.
Hey, what's up, lady?
Okay, so
So
this is why I kept trying to go back to like what you kept
no,
calling
no, wait, but sorry, I'm so
those
sorry.
cases.
Just before you go there are cases right now in the whole world where the doctor is like, the probability. I have cases in my close family where the doctor is like, there is a very very high probability that you're gonna die at childbirth, and we have to terminate that pregnancy at that stage to save the mother's life, because they know that the way it looks right now, it's very low probability that the mother is gonna die. Let's just say, I don't know, what some percentage that you like. So is there a certain percentage where you be like, yeah, that's reasonable to say, okay, we have to terminate this pregnancy, which means ending the life of the zygote or fetus, uh, in order to save the mother's life? Is that like, you keep saying
I would
yeah?
say
I would say yes,
I
but
would I would
do you
I
say
would say
yes?
that I agree that doctors recommend these sorts of things, but I would say that in any case that I'm aware of, there are alternative options where you treat the life-threatening condition directly that may result in fetal death, but is not per se an
So
abortion
you don't
because
believe,
it's not intending.
so you don't believe that these cases exist where
No,
the mother has to be saved by having an abortion? You don't believe that these cases exist. You just don't accept the
I would
existence
say
of it.
I would say that these
No.
cases are either exceedingly rare or yeah, I would
Okay,
just say
let's say there is just one.
they're rarer than
He
Okay,
said,
let's
let's
just
say
one.
there's just
doctors
one.
say they are, you know.
Let's say there is just one for the sake of the argument. Let's just say there's one.
Mhm.
There's just one. Would you be
Yeah.
okay then with it? Don't say let's just say, please. I'm begging you.
No, okay, that's fine. I would say that if there was one case known where the only known way to save the mother's life is to kill someone else, I would say that no. I don't think that it's permissible to kill an innocent person in order to save someone else's life, but I would say that a pro-lifer could still be pro-life and say because the fetus is directly threatening the mother's life, then ordinary rules of self-defense would apply, and so you could kill that fetus.
But if it's not the mother that is doing that, like for example, she's pregnant and she's taking a pill for ending the development of the zygote, or preventing implantation, then in that case, it would not be only her, but it would also be a doctor, or it would completely be a doctor that is doing the
Sure, yeah,
termination.
yeah,
So in
yeah.
self-defense doesn't work there, because you're basically, like, the doctor is basically helping her to do it.
I think cases of self-defense can still be permissible if someone else is stepping in to defend somebody else's life.
Well, that's just
But the
defense.
baby is not
Right, wouldn't you agree?
intentionally, no, because it's not a case of self-defense in that, like, I wouldn't see like a case of self-defense, because in order for it to be self-defense, the baby would have had to attack the mother intentionally.
Oh, well, it doesn't
No,
have
I
to be
agree. That's
intentional.
why I don't think
No, it
that
doesn't.
that's why
I think that morally self-defense doesn't require a intentional aggressor.
I wouldn't take that stance. I'm only saying that it's
But you just said
I
it's
think it would be
self-defense, it would
reasonable
be
if a
okay.
pro-lifer said that sort of thing. No,
No.
I'm saying that that is a pro-life position that exists, but that's no.
Yeah, what's your
Sorry if I
position?
wasn't clear. That's not my
Okay,
position.
but
No.
what's your
I don't
position?
think
Is
it's
it, I think we
I
should
don't think
just,
it's permissible to kill innocent persons in order to save somebody else's life.
so you would basically make it illegal or morally impermissible to, for all the women that are out there right now, that whose life is in danger, which is just a fact. You just agreed that birth is something really dangerous, and you would just have, like, they would have to die, and the
No.
baby would have to be delivered. That's what you're saying.
Well, he's saying
They would have
really
to
well,
die.
so
They would
here's
have
the
to die.
problem is that I don't think it's actually the case that abortion is the only medically viable option for women who are in these life-threatening positions. I think that there
Yeah,
are
but
other
all the
avenues that we don't
Mhm.
pursue because they are less convenient.
Yeah, but that's just. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to be disrespectful, but this is like very very far away from reality. Like that's just like you have just conceded that a childbirth is something that is very risky. It's just no pro-lifer would, by the way, debate this. And like all of like
I'm not
99.
debating it.
Yeah, but you're basically saying it is possible to mitigate that risk, which essentially means that we already have the solutions to. You're basically saying that the risk is not there anymore because we have solutions to
Well, no, I'm not
eliminate that
saying the
risk.
risk isn't there. So here,
No,
can I give some examples? Is that okay? Like so that we can like
sure, but we
step
have
away
to.
from.
No, we have to clear this point, like, because like 99% of pro-lifers, you have a really special pro-life take. If you would even disagree that the mother's life can be saved from the, like, the zygote basically is so that the mother's life can't even be saved, that like even in that case that you would not permit abortions.
No, I wouldn't permit a direct and intentional abortion, but I would say that,
What?
and I've been trying to reiterate. Hold on.
What is a direct
Please.
and yeah? What is
Okay,
that?
so a
This is
direct and
pretty
intentional
bad.
abortion would be something like a dilation and curettage abortion through, either by suction or by, using actual medical instruments to forcibly remove the fetus. It could be a medication abortion depending on how early the pregnancy is, or it could be a dilation and evacuation if it's a late stage pregnancy.
But you
Right? So those
realize,
are the things that I
yeah.
would morally protest to in in when we're talking about situations where the mother's life is at risk. I think there are ways to save the mother's life that will result in fetal death but are not strictly speaking abortions, like a mother receiving, if the thing threatening a mother's life is,
You could have just told
say,
me that.
what's the word, um uh, uterine or ovarian cancer.
Yeah.
I would say that you can pursue treatment for that cancer, and that treatment may
That's not
unintentionally
an
cause the death of the
abortion.
fetus. Another example would be if gosh, I forget what it's called, but this actually happened to my own mother. I think essentially it was something like her uterine wall was too thin and it was going to rupture if her pregnancy went too
do
far
you,
along. And so what they
yeah,
did was remove the uterus, and they managed to save my baby sister's life, but it may have been the case that she would have unintentionally died in that process.
hmm,
And I would say that that would also have
yeah,
been, that's perfectly, I would say that options like these are perfectly morally permissible.
yeah.
And a lot of them do result in fetal death, but I wouldn't call them abortions. Is that
Yeah, you no, I wouldn't
is
call
that
them
clear enough?
abortions either. Like, I don't know why you bring that up, because that's just not an example for an
He already
abortion.
said that.
That's the
Okay, yeah,
problem.
so
Like,
then
that's the whole problem
just
that I
to
have.
make
It's not
myself
an
clear,
abortion.
I don't think. Well,
So
yeah,
there
so then to make myself clear,
there are no unintentional abortions. There are only intentional abortions.
okay, yeah.
Like, that's what I mean. So therefore, I'm asking you, like, would you be okay with an, because you keep saying, yeah, I would not be okay with an intentional abortion to save the
Like
mother's life. I would not be
the
okay
reason
with an intentional abortion to save a mother's life. And I keep asking you, what is an intentional abortion? So you agree that there is no such thing as an unintentional abortion, right? We just wouldn't call it abortion. We would just call it
okay,
like
yeah,
a medical procedure
yeah.
that
I just
led to the
I
death
okay,
of the embryo, or
rather
yeah.
okay.
So
The way that I'll
that's not
phrase this
even
then is
topic
I
of
don't think
our
that in
discussion.
I don't think the intentional killing of an unborn human being is ever permissible. Does that clearly answer the question?
Not yet, because I still have to find out if you would say that women that have pre-existing conditions that would not survive childbirth have to die in order to save the fertilized eggs life.
I like that we
Do they
come down
have
to
to
call
die?
them fertilized
No, I
eggs.
would
I like that a
no,
lot.
because
Okay,
I think
then
that because
you're
as a
okay.
matter of fact, I think there are other ways to save a mother's life that
But
don't
you
involve
keep
directly
flip-flopping
killing.
between two things. Like, you don't accept the
No,
existence.
I'm not
But
flip-flopping.
but do you accept the existence that these cases exist? Like, where there is no there are no options to save both the mother and the child. Like, do you accept that there are cases where only one of them can survive, or you just say this is not reality?
I would say that these cases are extremely rare in developed countries.
But you realize that these cases exist, right? Where only one of them can survive. So you just said yes, basically, because you said in developed countries is not that rare. So let's, even if I would grant you that, which I don't, but even if I would grant you that, like,
Yeah, I think
would
Still
you say
acknowledging
to
them.
at this
this
point our
underdeveloped?
dispute is about a matter of fact.
Yeah,
about
but would you?
whether
Yeah, but
it's
in that
always
case,
possible.
does the mother have to die?
This young baby Tate is making it impossible for the debate can't even start yet because he won't accept like the most basic like all he did was ask him one question. They're hung up on it because he can't like stick to acknowledging reality, I guess, because he acknowledges it sometimes. It's so weird.
In these cases,
I would say
bro, you
that, yeah,
can't.
I would
bro,
say
you
I would
can't.
say that we can't directly, just like we can't. Listen. Here's my position: if they are both persons, then it wouldn't be permissible to kill the mother to save the baby's life. So why would it be permissible the other way around?
Because
So
for
the
me,
answer is no.
for me, I can explain it to
Hmm.
you, but that would get into the matter. But in your position, you have to say, yeah, every woman that now gets pregnant, you have to tell her basically you have to die if you are not able to handle this pregnancy, which is not even like that low of a chance. Like, it doesn't even matter.
I have to say, I have to jump in. I hate this
Yeah.
framing because
Why?
you are because what you're doing here is you keep re-widening the bullet that I have to bite when I'm saying no, specifically only in cases where it's literally medically impossible to save the mother's life any other way. And I'm
Yeah,
pointing out that that's
That's what he's been
almost never
saying.
the case.
Yeah,
There
but
are
that's
other
not true.
ways to save the mother's life that don't involve an abortion. Okay, so
that's
yeah,
just
we're
not
gonna
true.
Wait, even if it's almost never the case, you can just say if that is the case, then yes or no. Like, why does he have to keep on reiterating that it's almost never the case? He said it could be one. He said it could be just one ever.
dispute about that.
But
Yeah,
but
I don't
but
think that that's true.
but yeah, yeah, like medical.
You need to
Probably,
actually
I
like
have a
point out a
question.
case where this isn't true, and we
I
can
have a
like go through
question.
them.
Like, if you really dispute the fact that there are cases, like, it's not like it doesn't even matter if it's a few cases. For morality, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter at
Yes.
all how many cases these are. But if you dispute the scientific fact that this is a reality, then I would say
reason
that, then wait,
the
wait,
reason that
wait 1 second, because then we can just look it up if you want, or we can just, I don't know, I don't think you should start using medical examples in the future because you don't really believe in the scientific. Like, you think they're lying. Like, you think they're basically just
No,
doing
I
it out of
don't.
convenience. Yeah,
It's really really funny because he's not even being a dick at all. He's being super polite about it, but uh, it still
just said
comes
they're
across
just
so like
basically saying, "Yeah, fuck it. I'm okay with telling
I
a
don't
woman
know.
to end her pregnancy, even though there are other options, and no one except you knows about this, which is also interesting.
Well,
That
no, that's actually not true at all.
Yeah, but it
So,
seems like it, since like it's happening so much.
like, do you know what the field of bioethics is?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's a constant discussion in bioethics about different permissible options for women who are, experiencing life-threatening pregnancies, especially among pro-life bioethicists and stuff like that. And a lot of So the reason that I hate this framing is because you keep telling me, listen, because of your position, you have to look at every woman whose pregnancy is life-threatening
mm-hmm.
and tell them that they have to die. And I'm telling you,
Yeah.
no, that is not the case.
Why not?
because
You just said
there
so.
are medically viable alternatives to abortion which can save
We
the
are
woman's life.
we are specifically talking about the ones where this is not the case.
Okay, yeah, but then that's not every woman who has a life-threatening pregnancy.
Yeah, but it is
That's
the
why I
defin-
don't
you
like
have
this,
a,
the way that
okay,
you're trying to frame this.
but you have a problem with definitions. It is not life threatening if there is a cure for it, right? Like back in the days, like 200 years ago, maybe pneumonia was life threatening, but now we wouldn't consider it life threatening because there is medicine against that, right? So your definition of life threatening is not correct because if there is a solution for that, then it's not life threatening.
I would have just I would have thought that a life-threatening condition is just any condition that, if left untreated, will
Yeah, would you say that?
certainly lead to death.
No. It's just not true. Like that's not how we talk about disease.
Okay,
Like
that's okay. That's fine.
otherwise, yeah. Oh. Then I have to just repeat what I said before because then you just have to say to every woman who has a life-threatening condition that where the probability is really high that she's gonna die, that she has to die because it's morally impermissible for her to get an abortion. I don't know if you realize, but that's like no one, like literally I don't know, I don't know any pro-lifer who is going in this direction because it is
It's
so
unpopular.
Well, so
no one would want that.
here's my question. If they are both actually persons, it wouldn't be permissible to directly kill the mother to save the baby's life, correct?
That's what he's.
If they're both persons, then it wouldn't be correct to do that. Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
Yeah.
then it wouldn't be correct to do it the other way around.
Yeah, but I agree. I agree that, but that's not your position. That's my. That's. I don't agree with both being persons.
Okay, yeah, so that's the
But
matter.
that doesn't.
That's the matter that's in dispute.
But that doesn't save you from having to. But that doesn't
okay,
save
that's
you
fine.
from having
That's
to.
a bullet I have to bite.
Okay, then you. But yeah,
And
okay.
so, why would you say, "Hey, just so you know, this is a crazy position that you're taking"? No, I
It
would say
is.
it's a consistent position. Other pro-lifers, like if they don't take that position, I don't think they're being consistent.
Yeah, but I think it's better to not be consistent than to ask every woman that is about to die that she has to die. Like, I just think it's better. And that's also why no one is biting that bullet because it's just such a third thing to defend. Like, do you really think that this is an acceptable position to have for a society where we just have to tell members of society like this is not
I know he's not, but it just comes off like he's just roasting this guy so hard. It's super funny to me. It's funny to me
small fringe group
particularly
that is doing that
because
like,
he's
it's
not really doing
our
that.
sisters, our wives, or like this is like a crazy position to take to just say yeah you have to die, otherwise you're I don't know going to hell or immoral or.
Well, so, all right. Do you think that? All right, so no, the matter of the question is whether they are actually persons or not. Then, because you would agree that, let's say that the only way to save the baby's life is to kill the mother. Like, do we? So then we now have to walk up to someone and say, "I'm sorry, your baby has to die." Like it's the same position.
No,
just in reverse.
No, the mother can still not get it.
She can make the choice herself.
Like the mother can like the mother can decide to sacrifice her life for the baby, but that doesn't make it immoral if she doesn't do it.
Yes.
I would say that I don't in a life-threatening
to
situation like that, I wouldn't hold someone to the same kind of moral account as someone who is in a clear, state of mind.
Wait, I have a question. Do you think it's the same thing if I'm being used as a human shield, or I jump in front?
The guy that Connect's talking to is just like, I feel like he doesn't want to stand his own ground on anything at all. What, lady? And chili cheese fries, you can have some.
Of a bullet? That's not the same thing.
This guy
No,
feels
of course
really
they're not.
Yeah, so
slippery.
that was your question.
I have to assume that like he feels threatened in this debate at this point.
That guy?
No, this is the guy that interviewed me. The guy he's talking to, I think, feels threatened by Connect because he's being so cautious with his arguments.
But, like,
It's weird.
That was basically your question.
Well, I'll be watching as soon as
It's not the same thing. Like if the mother decides to die for her infant, that's, or maybe I misunderstood you about
Sure,
the
but
mother can still decide
yeah,
to
no.
to do that. But
yeah.
the point is not
Unfortunately,
the point
an
is
unborn
that
human
you
isn't in the position
that
to.
the problem is that your moral system forces her
Yes.
to commit suicide for her child.
No, it wouldn't be suicide.
Why? Would stop eating and drinking be suicide?
Yes.
Yeah, why is not taking the medical precautions necessary to be alive? Why is that not suicide?
Well, I think it's just because I don't think that it would be a morally valid medical procedure.
It doesn't matter. It's still suicide.
It's still
right?
suicide. Yeah. What is this?
No, I guess I just wouldn't call it that. But...
Use it.
Why not?
So here's the other.
Putting a fucking bullet through your head is not a medically valid procedure. It is still suicide.
Here's the other.
Okay.
here's the
What is
other
this
thing.
argument?
Okay.
I would be in favor of it being legally permissible, right? So that's the other thing, is because like this is something that's highly disputed, and because there are a lot of cases where it isn't necessarily clear whether
Oh my
whether
God.
the abortion whether the killing of the unborn human was intentional or not.
No.
But you know,
Wait. You would say it is legally permissible, so you are legally pro-choice, right?
I would say that pro-life laws that have carve-outs for abortions that save the life of the mother, I would say that I'm okay with those.
But I thought he didn't believe in those.
Just because
Why?
it's not because it's just a legal question of, it can be hard to. I don't think that it would be productive to have constant legal disputes over whether this was the sort of termination of a pregnancy that.
Wait, he's anti-abortion, but he's willing to, like morally anti-abortion, but that morality falls short when there's unproductive conversations. What the fuck is
that was
this?
ethically permissible or not. And
You
I
think
would
it's
say
not
that we should
worth
just
it to
prioritize saving mothers' lives.
So you think it's not worth it discussing the basically murder in your worldview? That's like the worst crime. There is no.
It's okay to kill people as long as we don't have
No,
unproductive conversations
okay,
about it.
so let's.
This is
I'll just
truly
keep, I guess I'll
wacky.
just keep doubling back. Yeah, I don't think it's permissible to intentionally kill persons. Not innocent persons, anyways. I don't think it's permissible to intentionally kill innocent persons. I
Your
think there
problem
can
is
be
not with
cases where it's
innocent.
very unclear.
No one is arguing that the baby is guilty.
No, okay. Well, just because it can be. All right, I don't have to if you don't want me to stipulate innocent, that's fine. Because I
No,
think,
I have no problem with it. Like, innocence is not your problem. The problem is that you have two options basically. Like either you go into crazy mode and you say, yeah, you have to die. You have to commit suicide basically in order for not be immoral. Which is in and of itself like you can argue that you wanting to exist can never be immoral.
Do you think that there are ethical situations where the only moral option is to either sacrifice your life?
Okay, I'm gonna shrink this down a bit. You know what? I can resize this. I was gonna put it right there. Pardon me. Oh wait, that's not the right thing. There's the right thing. Just gonna- Okay.
Life or to commit something very evil? Do you think that there are ethical situations like that that exist? For instance, if someone kidnapped you and said, you have to shoot this 3-year-old or I'm going to bomb, or I'm going to kill you and bomb a building.
Yeah, do it.
Kill you and bomb a building. Okay, what's the point of your question? What do you want
The
to
point
get
of the
at?
question is just sometimes there are unfortunate situations where the only moral options are to either commit something very evil or to allow yourself to die.
Yeah, so I think that like when you are when your life is at danger, that is like a situation where you cannot, like, no one could blame you for doing anything because you
Oh no,
just
I
have
wouldn't I certainly wouldn't blame a woman who
moral
decided to
but you
have
have
an abortion
but
anyway.
you have to.
No, no. So there's a difference. We have to separate
You have to blame
between
the
the
doctor.
wrongness
Maybe
of an
you could,
action and
could blame the
whether
bug.
someone is morally culpable for committing a wrong action. Those are two different. Those are two separate moral questions, right?
Wait, let's untangle this because you're going a little bit nowhere. But look, and you
I
say,
don't think it's nowhere.
yeah, but I'm gonna stay at you with your example. You're basically saying, is it immoral to defend yourself even if you, in order to save your life, you have to commit atrocities, right? That was your question. So is it
Yeah, I would
morally
say that that's
permissible?
objectively immoral,
No,
but I
but you're
don't
asking
know
me a
that that
question. You don't
necessarily
let
means
me.
that we have to hold someone to a moral account for that action, especially if it was an extremely like
Let's stick with.
psychologically distressing situation.
I don't think that we have to make the difference between morally take someone morally accountable and morally permissible. Like, we don't have to make that distinction. We can just stick with, is it morally permissible?
No.
And I say, and I think you would agree with me, that it is always morally permissible to save your, in order to save your life. Like, you cannot have a ethical rule that would have where you have to die. Like, there.
Well, okay, so here's another consideration. This is a pro-life view. I'm not convinced of the pro-life
But
view,
let's
but I
not
think
jump.
that this is
Let's not jump from point to point. But you can also concede that point. Like,
no,
you can.
it's related. It's related.
Okay.
So, I think that, for instance, you could argue that something is self-defense even if someone isn't intentionally attacking you. For instance, if somebody
I agree.
is like a schizophrenic and they lose their meds, and because of that, they start freaking the fuck out and they grab a gun and they start shooting it all throughout the house. I think it would be permissible to kill them in self-defense even though they have not intentionally attacked you. Someone could argue, and
I agree.
I'm
This is part of
I'm-
my abortion argument, though,
I'm
why
not,
it is permissible.
I'm not entirely convinced of this position, but because I think that it's a viable position, I think that we could also make it legally permissible. Someone could argue that, yeah, sure, the fetus isn't intentionally harming the mother's life, but if it really is the only option to save the mother's life, how is it different from killing a schizophrenic with a gun? You know,
I
the
can
fetus
give
isn't
you better.
intentionally causing
Yeah.
harm.
Yeah, but you could
And
also.
so I think that you could make an I think that that could be a valid exception.
Yeah, I agree, but let me just tell to you the example.
I think
you're
it's a
giving
better
is not
pro-choice
particular.
argument, to be honest.
A better example would be, you're falling, and by falling, you would kill someone. Like, because you could always argue that there is an active action by the schizophrenic, and so that's you defending against that active action. And in that moment of delusion, wait.
An intentional action.
In that moment of delusion, that person intentionally does something and you're self-defending against that. But the case that we're discussing is not really that. The case is, you have one person, you have another person, that person is, for example, unintentionally falling on that one person and would kill that person. And it's not the defense of the person that would be the victim of the killing. It's actually a third person, which is in that case the doctor, who would shoot that person out of the way, basically. That would be a correct analogy.
I think you could shoot someone out of the way. A more real life example would be like a plane hurtling towards a building and you shoot down the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. for example. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah. So
I think
is
that
that
that's also a pro-life position, and this discussion is definitely making me lean more towards that position. I will
no? But
actually admit that.
why?
That's good.
Like
So,
which
but,
wait
well,
wait, it makes you lean more into pro life because you have to.
no,
Uh,
it makes me lean more into the position that it might be morally permissible to do
Oh,
to intentionally kill a fetus if it is literally the only option where a mother's life can be
okay.
saved.
Okay.
that's good.
So you would say it's morally permissible if the mother's life is being saved.
I would say that this discussion is definitely making me lean more towards that position.
Okay, you don't want to say, but it's okay. That's nice of you to say that. I appreciate it.
Well, I have to think about it more. Is
Yeah,
that
sure.
okay?
That's definitely okay. But that the you have already pointed out the dilemma in which you find yourself now. The problem is that if you agree with
Sure.
that,
Ah!
then your first statement becomes a problem because you've already stated that it is always immoral to kill an innocent human being. But now you say it's okay to kill a human being if I'm saving someone. So it's not always. So you can think about like, I mean, you
Okay,
don't even
that's
have to
okay.
go.
Yeah,
You don't even
that
have
is
to go
why
that far.
that
So you don't.
this discussion we're having now, it was something that I thought might happen, which was why I rephrased it to say generally.
Yeah, but
Right?
generally,
I
yeah,
know
if you use generally, then you can't use a deductive argument because then
well, sure,
abortion could be.
the deductive argument would be, well, the conclusion would be abortion is generally impermissible, right?
No, it would
You could
just not
speak of
follow.
fringe cases,
Mm-mm.
but
It would not follow. If you say it is generally immoral to intentionally kill a human being, then this means that there is cases in which it is okay to kill innocent human beings. Correct? So in
Yeah.
that, then you say most abortions intentionally kill an innocent human being. So it doesn't follow that therefore abortions are morally wrong because it could be that abortions are one of the cases in which it is not immoral to do that. So your whole deductive argument collapses if you put generally in there. If
Well,
I
I would
say
just say
if
that
I say some humans are mortal, okay? Some humans are mortal. Socrates is a human.
here's
Does it
okay,
follow that
fine.
Socrates is mortal? No, it doesn't.
What if I put the first premise like this?
Oh
It
my
is
god.
wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human person
What
except
is
to save
that?
someone's life. Most abortions kill innocent
There you
human
go.
persons without needing to save someone's life.
That's
Therefore, most abortions are wrong.
that's what I'm trying. That's what I was trying to. That's the beginning of our discussion. That's what I'm trying to bring you to rephrase it because that's the only way you can have a deductive argument. I was trying to help
Okay.
you basically,
All right.
but
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
which doesn't mean that I'm not gonna attack it anyways. But yeah.
No, I appreciated this discussion because it's definitely making me like think about
Mm-hmm.
some of the ramifications of my view and other considerations, like you said, like whether it actually is permissible to
Mm-hmm.
Oh!
kill an
Sorry.
innocent person if it means
Hey, Elk.
saving somebody's life, right? So that's something that
Elk, I don't know if I can show the video that you put in there on YouTube. I didn't realize it until today. Do you know if it's like copyrighted media or not? Because I was gonna have that be part of the stream, but yeah, it's this is Knack, the guy who interviewed me a while ago. He said he had a debate coming up, and I told him I'd watch it on stream. So I just plan on throwing it into the viewer submission stream because why not? It's like sort of fits that bill pretty good. But I want to watch yours, but if it's like it said full movie and my only concern is that it could be like copyrighted and I'd have to have it be like a kick only stream in order to watch it and not get another strike on me. The strike that I got for doing the music stream really it fucked me pretty bad. Ooh. I responded to your Discord. Oh, I think it's because the video is uploaded by the author to YouTube for public consumption. Okay, cool. All right, then that'll be part of this. Sick.
have to continue to look at. So I appreciate this discussion,
Mm-hmm.
but now let's talk about most cases of abortion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but now you have the problem that you have said before, that it is
Oh,
morally permissible to kill the mother's life
cool.
over the fetus or zygote's life without any additional information about what we have. So we can already deduct that the mother as a person is not the same as the zygote as a person. It's not the same thing. If it would be the same thing, you couldn't answer that question so generally.
Okay, so then
So from that, it follows that the zygote, at least in some capacity, is not in the same way a person as the mother is.
well, so I think that part of the difference will just be like the position that the unborn human is in.
Oh
Like,
shit!
we are reaching a point where the mother's life directly affects the mother's life. The mother's existence is directly threatening the life of the unborn child. We might just want to evacuate the unborn child and see if we can save them that way, because that would be a morally preferable. I think that failing to save someone is morally preferable to intentionally killing someone.
That's not the
But
debate. That's not the
I can
debate.
see why you could have a
Ooh.
situation where
Cool.
Wait,
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
You're just playing word games, because you either kill the mother, you either, like, it's not even too comparable. Basically, you have a certain amount
Shit.
of chance that the mother is going to die,
It's tricky.
which is like, I don't know, 1%, 2%, 0.01%, and you have a 100% chance that the zygote's going to die. But you're still okay with saying, yeah, let's kill the zygote and let's let the mother live. I think that shows that the mother is a full-fledged person.
Oh my
and
god!
The zygote is not. So basically, I haven't
I don't actually think that follows, but you know, I
Okay,
definitely
I have a
see
question.
the force of that
If you
addiction.
if you would
It implies,
let me back up a little
not
bit.
follows.
Life is precious, okay? Life generally is precious. I think we both agree on that. But and killing innocent life, or killing life in general, is not good. Like, it's always,
Oh,
we have intuitively a feeling for it being bad, right? So it doesn't matter if it's a human life, it doesn't
thanks, I
matter if
turned
it's an
myself down a
animal
bit.
life. I'm not a vegan, but I still think like there is some value to life in general, okay? So I would not be okay with, I would kind of think that it is morally wrong for someone to just like pack up 1,000 insects and gas them. I would kind of feel bad about it. Like, I would say that's kind of evil. Like, that's morally wrong. But I would be totally fine with somebody driving for 10 hours and on the highway killing the exact same amount of flies, okay, or
Oh,
insects.
what?
So
Because
somehow,
there's a proportionate good that's being pursued.
yeah. So somehow I'm saying, okay,
Sorry, it's the nature of the beast.
it is worth me
This
getting
game
from
is rage
quickly
inducing.
from point A to point B is worth 1,000 insects. Okay, so that already shows you how little the value of one insect is in our moral framework, right? Pretty low, right? We like, even if we would say 10,000, I would be like,
Ah!
yeah, let's go,
Sorry.
let's drive. So in the same way, you can look at it with everything. Basically, we look at a really old person. You have one organ donor for two people, and you have a really old person, and you have a young person, and the old person is for sure gonna die, and the young person is just gonna have a like higher life quality of life by getting that organ. We're gonna give that organ to the young person, because just the value of the, even within humans, we have that natural, like, we have that understanding that there's some value to life, right?
Right.
So we say,
So here, that actually illustrates what I was going to try and get at, which is we could say but
but
sure, we may have
just one, let me
extra.
let me
We may
just
have
go one
extra
last step. Let me just go one last step, and then
Okay,
I'll
that's
let
fine.
you attack it. But I think it is very obvious that if we look at zygotes, which is like the fertilized egg, that the value of that life, if it's pro-lifer or pro-choicer, it doesn't matter, is not even remotely close to that of a born baby, for example. And we can tell by, for example, you having to admit basically that you would save the mother's life, which is the correct choice, by the way. I'm completely behind that. But the reason for that is that it is really obvious to us that a zygote, a fertilized egg, is not a person. That it would be a horrible thing to force a mother to die or to not give her the medical care she needs in order to save one cell. You know?
Okay.
That would be like insane. And so this already shows
Alright,
you
I'd
what
like
about the
to
personhood. Yeah.
jump in here at this point.
Sure.
Okay, so I think what you illustrated earlier. So we can give a couple of examples. So let's say you're in a burning building. There's a 70-year-old and there's a 3-year-old. You gonna save the 70-year-old or the 3-year-old?
Not going
I
in
think
that
most
fucking
people would
building.
save the 7-year-old.
The 70-year-old?
Sorry, the what did you say? 3-year-old? 3-year-old, yeah, not
A
7-year-old.
3-year-old and a
Yeah.
70-year-old.
Yeah, I think most people would
Right,
save
okay,
the
so-
3-year-old if they can
Right,
only
and I
save
think
one.
and I think that's right. But there are a lot of factors
Not
that
going in
go
a
into a
burning
decision
building.
like that. But one of the factors that's not going into a decision like that is the 70-year-old isn't a person at all worthy of any moral consideration.
No, that's not what I'm
Right?
saying.
So, well, no. So what I'm trying to point out is that I think that the pro-life position would be that
Woo!
there are a lot of extrinsic reasons why we might choose to save the mother's life over the unborn child. But that doesn't mean the unborn child is not a person who ordinarily would receive, legal protection.
Mhm.
And again, we are talking about fringe cases here, which is fine
This is wild.
because it's
What
important to
fringe
hash
cases?
these out too. Huh?
What fringe cases?
Fringe case. I would say that it is a fringe case where a mother's life is being threatened by the pregnancy and
They already
there
did those.
is no alternative option other than to directly kill the fetus.
Oh,
wrong with me?
but it shows it's not because it's very. I'm not. Doesn't matter how many times it happens. Just the fact that we had to basically you had to agree to that, and you did agree to that. That already shows. I can give you another example if you want. Would you rather save
Gonna do the embryos or the baby.
100 zygotes or one baby? It's pretty easy. Do you know that
the burning building example?
Yeah, the
I
burning
would say
building
the same
example.
thing. There are a lot of extrinsic factors that would cause me to save the newborn over the fetuses in a petri dish or
yeah,
something.
you
like
don't
that,
see
right?
the relation to the personhood, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I don't think it follows from that the people I didn't save aren't persons.
No,
You have to give
no.
some other
Yeah.
consideration that
No,
shows they aren't persons.
It shows something else. It just shows the value of life it has in our moral framework. And one of the factors, like for example with the old person, okay? So we are saying the reason why we would save a child rather than a really really old person is that we would say, okay, this old person is not going to have that big of life expectancy as the old person, child or the old person. Yeah, you know what I mean, right? So life expectancy. So it has nothing to do with personhood. I agree 100%. But it's just one example where we have where we know what the life is worth generally, all things equal, right? Other than this one aspect.
Okay, so
wait,
saying there's no difference?
Wait, 1 second. I have to finish, bro. Sorry, I just have to finish this.
That's fine.
But with the example of the zygote and the baby, there the difference is that there it's even the opposite. The baby has a smaller life, mathematically has a smaller life expectancy than the zygote, right? So it can't be like that. It's not that factor. It could be another factor. In my opinion, it is
other factors.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's personhood. But you are right; it doesn't follow directly from that. What I just wanted to show is that the value, that's the reason why I say that abortion is permissible, is because the value of life, the mother not wanting to go through a painful process and a dangerous process such as
No.
birth is worth aborting
Ugh.
a zygote, because the zygote's life, we just talked like 100 zygotes versus one baby, is so little to all of us, not only to pro-lifers, not only to pro-choicers, also to pro-lifers, is so little that traumatizing a woman going through that childbirth or even putting her at danger and in pain is not worth doing that, and therefore the abortion is valid. Personhood is another topic. I can also go into that. I also believe that personhood doesn't happen at conception, but we can also talk about that, or you can just first go into.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, there was a lot there. I think that I would just say that yeah, I think that you're right that from a pro-life perspective, I would say that there are just other factors between why I might choose to save, a newborn over, 10
Shit.
zygotes in a petri dish, and that don't necessarily track onto personhood, or like so diminish the value of life that they're not worth saving under any conditions. So, and then
Sure,
the next
yeah,
thing
you
I'll
don't have to.
say is
Yeah.
the next thing I'll say is,
Still valid
like
argument.
I said, you're putting me on the fence between the two positions of like whether it's permissible to kill someone innocent in order to save another's life. But okay, so taking the position that it's permissible to kill someone, like to kill an innocent person to save someone else's life. Taking that position, I would say that the mother's life there would actually have to be a proximate threat to the mother's life, and proportionate benefit. So, I don't think that it would be permissible just to say, oh, pregnancy in general is dangerous, and therefore any abortion is permissible if a woman, like.
Yeah, and
So
that's
I
something.
think that there would actually have to be a proximate threat of life. So like the doctor's walking up to you and saying, your prognosis is bad unless we do this.
Yeah, but that's something we can definitely talk about. Like that, but that just opens up the possibility for abortion being morally permissible, because just as you have like the train example, you would be okay with like killing 1 million insects just for a quick ride, which is like nothing, which is not important. Like, you know what I mean? Which shows the value of the life. And in the same way, if you want to be consistent,
Okay,
if
so
if
yeah, like I said, that's what.
wait,
Okay,
wait, I have to finish. In the same way, if you want to be consistent, you have to say, okay, I was just ready to kill 100 zygotes for one baby, or even I could even raise that number. And at the same time, like that not all fertilized eggs make it to implantation, and not all implanted zygotes end up developing further, but like
Jesus.
most of them are going into a tissue. Like most of them are being just flushed out by the next period. So we already know like how
Oh, I got a membership gift a few days ago. I wanted to thank whoever gifted me. I'm a VOD watcher for the most part. This time I managed to catch a live stream. Welcome. It's nice to see Hamza. It's probably Froggy Style. Froggy Style's been aggressively gifting.
On the table.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm glad you made it. And I'm happy that you got gifted a membership. And also, thanks for being a VOD watcher. Oh my god, how did I do that? Right now we're watching Kanak. He interviewed me a few days ago, and this is his first officially pre-planned debate. He's winning by a lot.
Yeah, how that this is not nothing yet. Like there is nothing there yet. So if you look at it that way, putting a mother through this, forcing her basically to go through that, doesn't seem convincing to me. That's not the final
Right, so
argument. We can discuss
right,
that. But that's something
then
that would
at that
open up
point,
the debate. Yeah.
So yeah, then at that point I would say that like your issue is with whether the unborn are persons, right? Or at least
Oh.
whether the
Sorry to
early unborn are
interrupt,
persons.
but the time limit is up. It's been
Yeah.
1 hour. If you want to go into the personal argument for like 20 minutes, that's completely fine, or we can go into questions.
I'll leave it up to
I'm good
my
with either.
opponent.
Oh, well. I mean, do you want to talk about personhood?
Yeah, sure. I mean, let's just quickly. I can just give you my feelings about it, like the way I think about it. There is the idea that personhood begins at, like, you have different options.
Okay, so if that's their time, then Kanak is clearly the winner.
Personhood begins
Oh
at
my god.
conception. Personhood begins at implantation. Personhood begins at consciousness, whatever that means. Like, or personhood begins when you have a brain. Like there is so many steps, and basically the question is, okay, which one is the best? Like, which one would make the most sense? And that would definitely exclude the ones that have internal conflicts, where there is no that would lead to I'm sorry, how do you say it? That would lead to internal conflicts where that you couldn't resolve. And for example, with the argument that personhood begins at conception is just not possible, because you have too many cases where this would not make any sense. For example, one of them is identical twins. Like, personhood is defined by, or also a human being is defined by, an individual. So the moment you have identical twins, where the zygote then splits into two, in that moment you have the problem of identity, and there is no more individual. There is two all of a sudden. So personhood can't start there. That's the first
I would
problem.
say that it's, well, no, I don't think that...
Wait. The
Okay,
second
yeah, that's
problem...
fine. I'll let you finish. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The second problem is also with cases in which the DNA argument, like, you would have to first ask yourself, okay, why is it even at conception, and why not other steps? And the argument is that the DNA is that it's a growing organism with a unique DNA, and there again you would have the problem with the twins, and you would also have the problem with cancer. There is actually a mixed case where the embryo, where the zygote evolves to a cancer. But you would have the problem with cancer, where it's also an organism that is growing inside the mother and is also has also different unique DNA to the mothers. So that doesn't work either. So I just think that's a really, really bad place to start personhood. It doesn't work. It has lots of problems.
Okay,
as a concept.
I can answer all three of those.
There's better ways. Yeah.
Okay, so I can answer all three of those, because I don't think that actually I don't know that any of those, like, poses a dilemma to personhood at conception. So you asked
What to do?
you pointed out twinning. I would say that it's, at this point in time, it's unclear whether twinning causes the death of the original zygote, or whether the zygote actually just, like... So, to look at it from a personhood perspective, it could be the case that one person emerges from another person at the moment of twinning, or it could be the case that that first person dies and two new persons
Do you know what?
arise.
Do you know what
This is
individual
such a
means?
weird argument.
Like, in its original meaning, like what it actually means.
It's so
Sure,
far
you-
detracted
you
from the
wanna
point that's
explain it?
being made.
Yeah, it means indivisible. Like, it's already in there.
Okay, well, I'm saying that there are cases when, like, say,
Now he cares about the
an
fringe cases.
individual can arise from another individual, like say in pregnancy. So, like, another this could be, it's not scientifically clear yet what exactly is happening at twinning, whether it's
But
the
it's
original...
It's not by.
the-
No, it is pretty clear, by the way. Like,
Okay,
it
so
is clear.
or maybe it's not philosophically clear whether the first individual dies and two new individuals arrive in its place, or if the
We would not speak about an individual if it could split in two.
I don't see why... I guess I don't see why not.
Because that's the definition.
Well, so
the personhood, like, identity, is that it's one, and it's numerically identically one. So there is just one unique thing out there. That's why pro-lifers are arguing for the DNA case. So they're saying, okay, you have the sperm, you have the egg, and these both have DNA, and there is a third DNA forming base. Or I don't really know, actually. To be completely honest, I don't really know how it works. But the argument is that there is a new DNA emerging, and so this new DNA is one person. So
So
If you say one person, this is one person. Wait. This is one person, and this one person started at that point, and then all of a sudden it splits into two. So these are both still that one person, because that's when it started, right? But if we would accept that it starts later, then it would be fine. Like we would be okay with that. But if you say and then these two zygotes grow up to become humans, and you say that person that started at that point, that person does X, and one twin does X, but the other one doesn't, there you have a conflict. You have a logical conflict because it's no longer one person; it's two.
I'm not arguing that someone is a person just because they have unique DNA, right? Because you gave the example of tumors, right? Tumors can have, unique DNA, or like, they can have unique human DNA, but I wouldn't say that they're a person. I would say that personhood is, right, a person is an individual member of a rational kind. So whenever the individual member of a rational kind begins, then personhood begins. And I would say that unique DNA is a sign that you have a new organism, right? And so
where does personhood start?
The thing that the pro-lifer would be concerned about is the new human organism, right? So if in the case of twinning, all that's happening is, right, regardless of whether they have the same DNA or whether they were like paternal twins don't matter, because that isn't an actual split at all.
Okay.
All that the pro-lifer has to say is like, okay, another organism has arisen from this, right? So now there are two persons. I don't think that causes like an identity conflict from a pro-life perspective, and that also rules out something like a tumor, because tumors aren't organisms, right? They're
I'm sorry, but if you are talking about medicine, please keep the misinformation law. Because
No, but it's okay.
this is
That's
just
not
twinning,
no.
this is just splitting the.
I mean, I'm not the doctor. He's not a doctor, and I don't know. I think I don't think you're a doctor either.
Well, I'm trying to talk about this from a philosophical perspective. I'm trying to avoid
I don't think we should get into the medical thing. Like
Yeah,
it's a philosophical question. Like
fine,
no doctor is ever gonna tell you, oh, this is where life begins, because the doctor can only tell you, oh, this is where DNA forms. He can tell you when the brain
like
forms, and then we as a
biologist
society have
job,
to
but-
philosophically, or we have to deduct logically where life starts. Not the doctor can tell you that.
I thought it was going on like the.
Oh, shit.
I was trying to refute already the twin, like the twinning is a process in which somebody like the first let's say
silly.
DNA or person creates another, but that's not how it works. Just
Yeah.
to say.
No, I don't think that was necessarily what I was trying to say.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you have an identity. Like personhood is tied to an identity, and if you have the identity, it cannot be split into two.
Can we clone adults?
I mean, you can clone adults, but they will not be the same person.
Right, and I suppose that couldn't I just say that the same thing is happening at twinning?
Yeah, but then you would have to say that one is a person. One started the reason why you don't have problems with cloning is because you have one person started his personhood, okay, whenever that is. Let's say it started when it has a brain, okay. So the personhood started, it went on, then we cloned that person, and the moment of cloning also has a start of the new personhood, and we don't have we don't run into any problems.
Right.
But the problem is, if you put the start of the personhood for two persons before the splitting, then you run into problems.
Okay, I see the issue here, because no conception is occurring at the split.
Yeah, basically, it would have to split, then conception would have to happen to both of them, and then you could still say, okay, there is personhood starts at conception.
That would be like similar to paternal twins, but not quite the same. Yeah.
No, paternal twins is like completely different, because there you have like two as far as I know, don't quote me
No,
on it, but
no,
as far
I'm
as I
saying
know,
that
it's
the
like
result would be similar to fraternal twins. I wasn't saying that the process was exactly the same.
okay.
But I think that
Oh,
maybe something that could clear up the issue is conception per se isn't the isn't like the necessary condition. I would just say that the necessary condition is that an organism has begun, and I would say that at twinning, a new organism appears.
okay. So can't you just say that personhood is a unique, conscious experience? Shit, I let myself die. Like, couldn't you just say that it is a solo conscious experience? Yeah, it's Super Mario Maker. I only play levels online. They're all super expert levels. I just sort by them. I typically avoid the Kaizo ones just because I'm not quite at that level yet. But anything that's not like that doesn't require like double shell jumps and shit, I'm all about it. Shit. Oh, what? Yeah, I'm a big Super Mario Maker fan. By the way, it is literally the best value, dollar for dollar, for the amount of content you get out of it. Is the best value in gaming.
Why new? Because new DNA.
I would just say because it is now, it's a physically separate organism that is on its own developmental path towards adulthood.
Couldn't you say the same thing about anything that grows inside the mother?
See into Ultra
Well,
Hog
no,
skill games?
organisms.
Yeah, I have.
I would say that an organism is a. So I guess from a philosophical perspective, the way that
And I'm
I
really
would
out of.
say isn't
God damn it.
is
I'm really out of practice, and I'm still getting used to the PS5 controller for this game. I used to have a Switch Pro controller, which let me jump with the button on the back. I really, really like that because the jump times are so precise. God damn it, that it's better to use your index finger than your thumb.
a living member of a species that is developing towards mature adulthood.
What is it?
Tumors are unorganized clusters of cells that cannot grow into a member.
It is not an
that
emulator. 1
cannot
second, I'll
grow
explain.
into. They're not on a developmental path towards adulthood. They're not on a developmental path towards anything. It's just uncontrolled cell growth.
I have a. I think this is the instructions for it, so I can show that at least. I don't want to unplug it because then it'll unplug my game. Do we have the box for this still, lady?
No, she works out.
Okay. So I got, it's like a little flash drive dealio. Oh man, that's like the one part that's not showing up on camera good. Oh wait, it's at the very top. So it looks like that. It's like a little flash drive that has like Mario bricks on it. You plug it into the USB, and you can use any controller you want, which is way better than the Switch
Biological
controller.
life, but it's not an organism.
I just have these, well, like in the, like the thing it clips into. This to make it like one, like cohesive controller, but the buttons are too small and stuff. And I need more like space for my hands, especially if I'm like tapping the jump button really fast and stuff. Or if like you're holding to run and then jumping with like the back of your thumb. It's just too much. Yeah, I have a PlayStation 1 that lets you use any controller on the play, like all the way down from like PlayStation 2, 3, 4, and 5. It works on all those consoles and lets you use any controller you want with that too. I prefer to have freedom of controllers.
Did Celeste help you figure it out? It's like you had Celeste on Switch and then you got it for PC. And that, like, movement-wise is like a lot like a Super Mario.
No, I used the back button for Mario before Celeste.
Okay.
But I also used like the custom back buttons for Celeste like a motherfucker. Not the biggest fan of the PS5 D-pad, but it's
Wait,
okay.
you said too many things. Can
The Sega Saturn D-pad is the ultimate for you. Hang on a minute. The D-pad takes a little bit of getting used to for the PS5, but I played a lot of Mortal Kombat with it, so I'm like in it. So one of the really nice things about the PS5 D-pad, especially for fighting games, is that it has very smooth and rounded edges. Even though they're a little bit more defined when you're like rubbing your fingers on them a lot for fighting games, it's not nearly as it's not nearly as bad on your thumb. Oh wait, Saturn, Sega, Saturn controller. I want to see. I know I've held them in my hand. I just couldn't remember. Oh, I see. I prefer. I think I like the PS5. Honestly, I think one of the best D-pads, unfortunately, is like the one on the GameCube is really solid, and so is the one on the N64. I wish there was just like a middle ground between the two because they're both so well defined. I really like that. Um. Oh, this one is. Are you talking about like the round controller? I don't like D-pads that have like they're like D-pads on an analog stick, which is what that looks like to me. I don't love that. But also, you said the Genesis 6 button pad. When you're talking about the oh, okay, then I see that too. That's weird. I don't think that I would be personally a fan of it, but I get it. That I don't like a lot of flexibility in my D-pad. If I wanted that flexibility, I think I'd just rather use the stick. It just occurred to me though that when I think the Genesis controller, instead of holding it like a regular controller, you're supposed to. It's like arcade inspired. You're supposed to mash the buttons with your fingers. It just occurred to me when you were talking about that controller. Wild. Oh, in addition to the PS5 controller for new stream equipment, I guess. Yeah, the isolated D-pad where it's just I can create the diagonals on my own. Oh, it's backwards. Shit, that sucks. So this is my official streaming cup. It was my favorite cup, but it hang on. I want to do a little flip around here. And it was gone for years, and I don't know how I got it either. Just appeared in my house one day. There we go. Here's the correct angle. I found it in like the cupboard that was up super high. So this will be like the only cup. Unless if I don't have this cup and I'm streaming, something's wrong. My wide set vagina cup. I play a lot of shumps. Thinking about the Saturn D-pad is perfect fit in directions, the best I've found. Just my experience. What the fuck is shumps? Oh. Yeah. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm dumb. I like shoot 'em ups. Uh, Pretty good. I like bullet hells a lot.
Can you state this again? Like you said, why is
That's why I really liked Returnal because it combines like all my favorite kind of game elements into one. It's like a bullet hell, third person shooter platformer, roguelike Souls-like game. And it's extremely difficult. One of the hardest games I've ever played.
the fertilized egg? Why is that a new organism inside the mother? Like,
'Cause it
sorry,
is on
sorry.
a
Why is it a
developmental-
person? Like, I let you allow you to sidetrack me.
Okay, yeah. So
Why is it a person? Yeah, why does personal start there? That's the question.
I would
We're
Yeah,
not
I used to
talking
work at a
about
retro gaming store and we never got them in
Person-
because they were so
new
popular.
organism, because also bacteria. Like,
Well-
yeah.
no, so all I was trying to point out is that we were having some issues
Shit.
with, drawing the line at conception, and I was only pointing out that
This checkpoint location is absolute bullshit. Fuck them for that.
conception is just the marker by which most human organisms come into existence. And
That's not what the question was.
Conception is the
it's-
marker
so
where most human come into existence.
most human organisms come into existence. And then
Not most, like all of them.
yeah,
I don't think
well,
there's-
because some human organisms come into existence at twin.
Oh! Yeah, what?
Twinning. No, No,
at
because
twinning.
no, because some human organisms come into existence at twinning.
Okay, so you're
that's
saying
why, that's why I'm
personhood.
saying those.
Okay.
Personhood is tied to the existence of an individual human organism, and
Yeah, but
personhood
what's-
ends when the organism ends. Personhood begins when the organism begins. That would be my stance. So,
But you just
I'm,
making
ju-
you just
I'm only trying
you
to point
just
out that I don't think twinning is a counterexample.
you have
That's
just
all I'm
switched
saying. I haven't
organism
even-
for personhood. It's like the same. Like you still have to then explain why the organism begins there. Why doesn't it begin, for example, why doesn't it, like, the organism begins there because there is new DNA, right?
Oh shit.
That's your
let's-
argument.
I think my argument would be that an organism begins there because we have a
we go.
biological life that is on a developmental path towards adulthood, and it is physically separate.
Okay,
This
I agree
guy
that
loves to talk
the
about things that
organism
have nothing
begins
to do
there,
with what they're
why
talking about.
does personhood begin there?
Oh, okay. Sorry. I think you said you still have to argue for why the organism begins there, and I was like, wait.
I mean,
thought
I think I could even
So
argue that
you're
because you could say
you're
that
asking
you could
why
say that
you're-
you could say that also the sperm already being in the like you have the uterus, right? So you have the
Mhm.
sorry, I'm not really familiar with the whole terminology, but the moment that the sperm enters the woman, isn't there the problem? Like, couldn't you say that that's the beginning? Or why does it have to be the moment where the sperm touches the egg? Because after that, it's also in the inside. There's stuff happening, and sometimes I think it takes up to 48 hours until the formation of the new DNA. So it's always like the point, like the starting of the organism is not. Why is it there? Why not the
Ayoshi.
the entrance of
I
the
think
of the sperm?
Right. The reason I would say that is because the sperm without fertilization is never going to be on a developmental path towards
Mhm.
adulthood.
But the
So
same
it
goes
is- it
for
is- it is-
for
it is
implantation.
the body part
Mhm.
rather than
But same goes for implantation. Without implantation, that's
If you interrupt it at any point, then it's not going to be. That's such a goofy
the best argument actually for, like, many scientists actually also argue for implantation as the beginning of the new organism, because without the implantation of the fertilized egg into
I don't want to miss this. So shit, I'm on YouTube. I can't. Dead on. Fuck. Yes, give me just a minute. I gotta use the restroom. I can't wait, and this is gonna be a long stream, so I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I'm back. I appreciate your patience, those of you that stuck around. OG don't like me. Hello, OG. Okay.
To the
Oh!
universe, it's
Get outta
impossible
here.
to
He just licked in between my toes.
the fertilized egg would just
Gross.
get flushed out.
Right. It would. I think.
So
I think
that
what I would
argument
say
wouldn't
is
Glad you
work
that
do.
because
you could
you would
foresee that there are other. You could foresee that there are other ways that you could continue the developmental path of
no
the
just as you
zygote.
no just as you need the fertilized egg for the sperm, you also need the uterus for the fertilized egg.
No, because we're reaching a point where we're reaching a point where technology could allow us to develop zygotes into embryos and then into
Yeah,
fetuses.
yeah,
My,
but then
my only point is that it's not in principle like a necessary condition
okay.
for the
So
developmental path to continue.
you can ask for a hypothetical. You can say, but what if we had that? Like you can ask me that, but for the way it is, you have to admit that that's the way it is, right? Like
I
you
think I'm just
you can still ask me for a hypothetical, but for the way it is, you have to admit that's the truth, right?
I'm saying that the unique DNA is definitely something that is a important marker for why something is a body part rather than simply or why something is a new organism rather than a mere body part.
Yeah, then
Right?
cancer,
Yeah, but
twins,
so
it's
the
not
difference
sufficient
between
for
those
personhood.
two is that right, cancer is not sufficient for personhood because it's never going to be on a developmental path towards adulthood. I don't think that anyone would ever say that a cancer is an organism. It's just uncontrolled cell growth. It's a biological life, but not an organism.
I would say it's an organism, but not a person,
Ah,
Yeah, I don't.
because
I think that
it has
just
separate
as a matter of
DNA.
fact, it's not correct.
It has different DNA, right? And it's growing, so I think it
Well, I think that
qualifies
right. I
for.
think that like different DNA is a sign that something is an organism, but
But I'm not even
maybe a
arguing.
condition.
I'm not even arguing that the cell that is starting the human development, that the cell is an organism. Like I'm not arguing that. I'm just arguing that for conception being the marker for personhood is a really bad place for it because we run into logical inconsistencies.
Right. I guess I've just been trying to dispute that.
Yeah, but it's not really working because you haven't solved my inconsistent my that you were trying, you were on the path doing that, but then you kind of went into a different direction, I think.
Yeah, it can be really easy
I pressed
to
up.
end up,
Yeah,
pretty deep in the weeds in side
I
conversations and
see.
trying to clear things up. Yeah,
Mhm.
but what I guess what dilemma would you like to see more adequately answered? And I will have to go eventually because I've got church. But
I'm good. Like I think we can go into the discussion, right?
Yes, it's
pardon me.
like the timer would have ended in 2 minutes, so yeah, we can go into questions.
Oh, shoot, as soon as I die or succeed here, I'll get on to the next thing. Oh, God. I jumped sooner. Okay. Elk had something for us, and then I'm gonna after. Oh, Yeah, this person? Somebody messaged me. Or I guess they just waved. No servers in common. Okay, probably a bot. Let's see here. I'm gonna just check the video out. Make sure. Oh no, it has copyrighted music on it. Because the music I got hit on YouTube for was the creator openly lets people do reactions and everything for it. But because I was streaming it, YouTube was like, you need to go die in a fucking ditch. And they banned me for 2 weeks. Let me see here. I'm trying to look it up right now. If I get hit again, I'll be banned for a month. And I think they'll hold my money too. See, my concern is, oh, it's not on the screen. Yeah, the music is written by the author of the documentary, but Ren explicitly allows people to use any and all of his music on YouTube. Like this is he's like super open about this. Not only that too, like he's grateful. He encourages it. And I when I fought my copyright strike, they responded within like 20 minutes saying that it was denied and that it was going to be there. In fact, I think yesterday was the day that it finally resolved. Like it's just like not going to hurt me in any way anymore. Soundtracks on Spotify and his shit's on iTunes. How do I? Yeah, I can't do it out, but I can do one of two things. I will either stream it in my Discord in the very near future as like a watch party, and you come watch it with me. Or if you really want it on stream, well, I just feel bad because I was like, oh yeah, then like because you said that, I was like, oh yeah, no problem, and I just wanted to take a look. The music is what freaks me out, but either I can do a watch party in Discord because I want to do a couple watch parties anyways. The last time we did one is when I watched Cuties with a heart rate monitor on. That's been a long time. Um, if not doing a watch party, then what I can do is I can send an email to the guy who created it, and I can get his express permission. That way, if YouTube tries to fuck me for it, I can show them like this is my email from him saying that it was fine for me to do that. I'll let you decide. If you want to do a watch party, what day do you work later? Yeah, Friday. Okay. Um, yeah, I can do a watch party on like Friday. Or what? Or Wednesday too, I guess. I'll leave that up to you. Sorry though. Okay, or view on Kick, sure. Yeah, if I don't, okay, then if I don't hear from him within like a reasonable amount of time, then I'll just do a Kick stream, because that's how I'm gonna finish my Ren tier list streams as well. Where's the window at that I had? It's really funny because I know that Twitch would not give a single shit about it. And as far as the two platforms are concerned, I've always thought that, pardon me, that YouTube was the cooler of the two, but it's not. I don't know if Kick has the ability to watch VODs. Oh, it does, but I don't have enough fucking viewers. Or I need more people to I think it's called subscribing on there, right? Followers. I need more followers in order to have VODs unlocked. I got like 14 followers the first day that I streamed on Kick, and then like none ever since then. I thought I was like so impressed by Kick. I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is really, really good. Thank you. I appreciate it. And then, like I said, like never once after that, I was like, oh shit. Fucking inflated ass growth for day one. Must have been like 14 of the people who liked me the most went over there and did it. Try to find out if Mr. Grill re-added his video to Substack. You know, this would be a quicker way to get to it. Wait, he took down the whole thing? God damn it. What? He said people didn't understand it. But that was just with the video. That's so annoying. Oh, wait. New top. Let's see. Nope. That's not there. I wonder. I'll check my Discord to see if anybody plopped anything else in there. Or the last little bit. Toby shared something like a year ago. Huh. You have backup stuff too, but oh, thank you, Hamza. I appreciate it. How many do I need? I think like 75 or something. Which you'd think I could get. I have almost 500 on Twitch and over 750 on YouTube, but it's hard to push people over there. Like I have people, but I just can't get them to go to Kick. Interesting. Okay then. So I'm gonna turn off the Switch for now. I almost turned off the stream. Where is Switch? Okay. So since we're all here, God damn it. Trying to reclaim my monitor from the Switch. Give me 1 minute. Oh, thank you, Elk. I forgot that you watch me on the phone. For some reason, I always assume that people watch on the computer because I live on my computer. I forget that mobile's a thing, essentially. Yeah, phone 99% of the time. Thank God I don't primarily do Twitch. Dude, the Twitch phone app is such a garbage nightmare. It's crazy. Where is my... I wanted to keep my Twitch stream up because I've missed people subscribing before. Oh, it's right here. Hello. I don't get a lot of action on Twitch so much anymore because I haven't been able to use it. So when I stream on there, I just think that it's like lost on people. So I'm gonna talk about the mystical black hole thing. And I guess part of what I wanted to do was just sort of say like, why should you even listen to me? Why would I know any better than Mr. Girl? Twitch chat is garbage and they keep updating it, changing the UI. The nightmare. I used to watch my buddy Kia Weird a lot while I was driving. And it would fuck up like a lot. Or if I was like out playing Magic or something, I'd have my phone open and like I would get like my messages would send twice, or like the video would just be black. It's garbage. You know, it's because Elon is micromanaging the UX design. Why is this happening? I have like Twitch, or yeah, my Twitch. It has having like the kick, my kick window like flashing overlaid it, laying it. Hey, I just seen that you followed too. Thank you, Elp. I appreciate you. That was weird. So anyways, like why I would know any better than Mr. Girlwood when it comes to physics? I think I want to say I was 16 or 17, so coming close up on 20 years. I just for funsies, I got a little purple book called Everything You Need to Know About Physics. It wasn't, but it was everything I needed to know to become like super obsessed with the topic. The thing that got me big time was the double slit experiment. It just sort of blew my mind. And like I feel like a lot of people know what that is now, but like almost 20 years ago it wasn't really something that people talked about. So it was the first time I ever heard of it. And I was like, that can't be right. That has to be like I must be misunderstanding this or something. So I dug in. And the more I dug into physics, the more I found that like it was really, really, really interesting. A lot of the stuff doesn't act the way that you think it does, and it just sort of like drew me in because a lot of the stuff seems like super wacky and bizarre, and just trying to for a while I was just trying to figure out if things are really that weird or if I'm just like not understanding it. Turns out shit's pretty weird, and I think that part of Mr. Girl's problem is that he doesn't understand how things at the quantum level and sometimes at like the cosmological scale don't act in accordance with like classical mechanics. Like quantum and quantum physics, also it doesn't just like refer to like quanta, unit of measurement. It refers to outside of common sense because this physics operates outside of what you would come to expect if you had a good grasp on like classical physics and like the mechanics behind it. And so, just as an example of how hard I went into like the nerdiness of it. Whoa, it's not the right thing. Yeah. So I used to, the guy who was once my roommate, and also one of my best friends, I talk to him about physics all the time. We would both get books and share books and shit. Um, and just because a big ass nerd, I came up with this expression to explain that the universe always existed. This is like I don't think that this is like the most brilliant thing in the world, but it just was it was important to me to have something expressed to prove that the universe always existed because I don't believe in the Big Bang. I think we could have had some bangs, more or less to speak, to help disperse some of the matter in the universe. But essentially, this is that you can repeat this forever. X times 0.5 does not equal 0. If X equals this down here. So you have the omega represents the density of the universe. If you divide it by the volume of the universe, you get the mass of the universe. The mass of the universe has to be greater than 0. And so X equals anywhere between, like it doesn't matter what, because it doesn't have to equal anything, anything in between mass and up to, but excluding 0. So if you have anywhere between some of the mass in the universe, so not 0, and all of the mass in the universe, which is what is represented by X, and you divide it by 0.5, so if you cut it in half forever, it'll never equal 0. This essentially was my my like cute little expression to say, hey, no matter what, the universe had to have always existed because it exists. You can't take something that currently exists, like we're talking about matter. We're talking about matter and energy. You can reduce it back. People say that it exists in a singularity because we're expanding. So if you reverse that indefinitely, you end up with a Big Bang. But like, I think that's stupid for a lot of reasons. But that wouldn't be the start of our universe because there has to be some point prior to that. I just think it's all dumb, anyways. But it had to always exist. I would even go so far as to say that something would have had to exist to trigger the Big Bang as well, if there was a Big Bang. That isn't just like the write-off that they give. But essentially, the universe must have always existed. That's how invested I've been that I felt the need to like write something like that out like 15 years ago or something. With my iron quark condensate, protons and neutrons have known mass that is actually most of the nucleus. The mass of the proton is way more than the mass of its quarks. Yeah. Isn't that goofy? And the reason is we don't know why. It just seems to be the case that when you arrange subatomic particles in a particular way, the characteristics that appear based on like the arrangement and flavor of the quarks seem to generate characteristics that do not exist individually amongst them, like mass. Mass is caused by the Higgs condensate. There was more stuff, including matter, antimatter, before the before the Higgs condensate formed. So let me give you. I have a lot of hot takes about physics. Okay, so I think that the relationship that matter has with mass is tied to like the ether. We supposedly disproved the ether, but to me, I think that's like the experiment that disproved the existence of the ether is one of the dumbest conclusions of an experiment I've ever seen in my life. To me, it seems to suggest proof of the ether. Michelson-Morley experiment. So I'm gonna pull up a little. It's super easy to understand for everybody. the experiment itself is, and so is the like infographic. Yeah, so if they want to just call it something different, whatever, that's fine. But I think that ether must exist. So in order to prove that the ether didn't exist, this is the experiment that they ran. Try to make this larger for people on the phone. So what you have here is you have a laser at this point, and it shoots onto this half transparent mirror. And the way that light works with glass is that you're going to get, depending on the thickness of the glass, anywhere between 16, between 2 and 16% reflection off the glass, and the rest of it's going to pass right through. So that they shoot the laser through here, and this fixed mirror pushes the laser back to here. In the movable mirror, it's going to go to and the movable mirror here, which is going to the laser is going to bounce off as it passes through here. We're also going to get some amount of it to pass through here, and then some of it's going to pass through here at roughly the same rate as this here, and then oh, I see. It's just, sorry, because it's gapped, I got a little bit confused here. So yeah, so basically you have the laser's going to bounce, go here, and then through here, and then from re-entering here, bounce back as well. So essentially we are having all these different measurements, and I don't want to misquote them. Here we are. Both beams are recombined, and if the time taken for the two split beams to travel different paths, then the two beams will constructively interfere. Time is different, no interference pattern will be resolved, will be observed. Jesus Christ. The aether is a reference frame relative to light which speed travels. It's been a hot minute. So essentially, I'll just explain what the idea is as I understand it. So since the Earth is moving, they expected that one of these beams to end up being moving slightly faster than one of the others, because they're all moving at the speed of light, obviously. But since the Earth is moving in a particular direction, they didn't really have to know which one it was. They just had to see if there was any difference between any of the traveling. Sorry, I'm gesturing with my finger. Between any of these lights, any of the laser paths, and because there was none, they said, okay, that disproves the ether. But for me, it would suggest that the speed of light will always move at the speed of light. You cannot go speed of light plus anything, doesn't matter. Even if you're bringing the source closer or whatever, it's still going to get to where it's going at the same speed. It doesn't matter if you ended up moving that thing while the laser's moving or anything, it doesn't matter. Because the ether accommodates the speed of light. Light will always go from where it starts to where it's going at the same speed, assuming that nothing is like directly stopping it or like actually slowing it down. It's not getting slowed down through the half transparent mirror. It's just getting refracted, and the other part's still continuing at the speed of light. So like as long as you don't have like a fog that's actually like making it slower for it to move, or like near sub-zero temperatures is going to slow down the photons, then it's always going to get at the endpoint relative to its distance in the speed of light, no matter what. And that's because the ether is it's like the firmament of the universe. It's what everything has to exist on. So I just think that mass is the amount of displacement of an object on the ether, which also subsequently is my explanation for gravity as well. When you displace the ether, it'll just make the rest of space-time follow it. And I think I told my old roommate that too before I knew. So that's essentially what Einstein said about gravity. And if you see like there's like infographics where it shows how things are, how gravity is impacted, or how gravity works from different size objects. You'll sort of see like things like coned down. That thing that's being coned down, that would be like the ether. Sabine Hofstadter actually talked about the similarity. Oh, yeah, I already read that. Wait, is she the one that like a lot of physicists really hate? She's like a really like no nonsense physicist. Is that the person I'm thinking of? Also, I have like almost no experience talking about physics to people that um don't already know more than me, or like are at least at the same uh pace as me, or like same uh like level of self-education as me. So I might not be super great at explaining everything. So if I'm doing a bad job, you can tell me and I can try to translate it. And also, I haven't talked about physics in a really long time because I lost touch with the guy that was my friend. We're not friends anymore, and he was like my primary person to discuss physics with. Climate videos from her get a lot of hate. Okay, I'll just look her up. Awesome. Okay, yep. Uh, that's who I thought she was. Yeah. Which is a video 5 hours ago. Brian Cox debunked the Big Bang. Wait, what? Okay. Well, just saying, I've been saying that the Big Bang uh, isn't real for a long, long, long time. But yeah, otherwise, like just like on the subject, I've probably watched like several hundred hours of stuff. I've read a lot of books. For anybody who cares, my favorite book on physics is Quantum Electrodynamics by Richard P. Feynman. Sometimes my math isn't quite up to the standard of which I wish it was. I really, really want to learn more advanced math just so I can get deeper into like my understanding of the math of certain justifications from some principles in physics. But for the most part, I'm pretty okay with being able to take the word of authors like Einstein and Feynman. I'm going to trust that they did their math right, or like Hawking. I don't necessarily need to know it to kind of see what they're going for. Um, I sort of look and see math that's a bit over my head, and I read the explanation. It's really interesting to me. However, my engineering brain is focused on software development right now, and I can't split it. Weirdly, I'm able to split my attention to other types of streaming. I'll catch the replay. Okay. If you check back in a little bit, we might not be on this anymore. But by all means, don't let me distract you from your work, please. That's not what I'm going for here. So like, I don't know if this is like if I've like sufficiently demonstrated that I'm a big physics nerd, or not. Oh wait, I actually lied. My favorite book on physics is The Big Bang Never Happened, by Eric Letcher, I think his name is. But Quantum Electrodynamics is my second favorite. And I understand that when I'm seeing Mr. Girl talk recently, and people bring up math to him, it seems like there's not really any understanding that he has of the things that he's talking about from a mathematical perspective. Like even if he says like the math backs it up, I don't think he understands what that like when he's looking at certain principles that there's claimed to be math backing it up for. I don't know if he understands what the math is actually suggesting and like which parts of these ideas are not. So I think he's just like really far out of his depth in a lot of these areas. Also, saying that the math suggests something in quantum physics, and sometimes which ends up stretching out to like astrophysics as well, is that the math can suggest things that are contrary to observation quite a bit. Like especially when we're dealing with things like time, light, gravity, we sometimes run into things that just don't make any sense. The math makes perfect sense when you do it on paper, but then when it comes to observation, our observations do not match what the math would suggest would happen. And that's what makes it a really interesting field. That's what makes it outside of common sense oftentimes. So there's certain events, like quantum events, where the math will suggest that there isn't Like outcome A will happen and outcome B will happen, and neither will happen, and they'll both happen all at the same time. And obviously, this is super confusing, and it takes a pretty good degree of flexibility when you're approaching the subject to deal with things like that. And one of the things that I'm really concerned about with Mr. Grill getting into physics and commenting on like astrophysics is that even like initially with this black hole thing, there is a rigidness that I think does not it doesn't mesh well with the field. Um, when we're talking, I don't care if it's astrophysics or like quantum mechanics, you have to be able to be flexible in your way of thinking about things, at the very least in the beginning. Um, I'm sure there's like plenty of scientists out there who have become like pretty rigid over the course of their life studying it. I'd still say this is a mistake. You should be really flexible and open to new ideas because our understanding of like quantum mechanics and astrophysics are a lot of it's just like really good guesses. Sometimes we prove things based off of really good guesses, and sometimes we just assume things based on really good guesses that seem like they would be right. But even things like the Big Bang require a bunch of things that are just sort of like made up to justify it, like WIMPs, weakly interacting massive particles, dark matter, and dark energy. And there are alternate explanations for these phenomena that we attribute to these things that we can't really pin down, and just sort of speculate that they must be true in order to adhere to this like larger uh, idea that we want to support. Um, but most of the time, when people talk about things like the Big Bang, they're not going to talk about that. They'll say things like, "Well, it hasn't been like we don't know for sure, hasn't been proved." But most people don't understand like how many leaps we have to take in order to like for the scientific community to be bought into it. It's kind of like on the surface, it'll seem like the same kind of attitude that we have for like things like medicine. Like for instance, like the for like when it came to COVID, I think it was perfectly reasonable to say, I believe this because this is all that like this is just what the data says right now. So I'm gonna go with that what it says right now. And if you disagree with me, then like I'm gonna consider you to be wrong because you're saying things contrary to what the data would suggest. But when it comes to things like astrophysics and quantum mechanics, it seems like it's like, hey, the data suggests this, but what the data suggests isn't always going to be something like super concrete for us. It can give us ideas. I think that's why that there is different interpretations of like what's even happened. Like there's string theory. There's what's it called? Quantum loop theory. I think I'm googling it to see if that's what it's called. Loop quantum gravity. Uh, that's another theory about how I didn't even explain what string theory is either. It's like the fundamental interworkings of our universe without trying to get too specific. Like quantum loop involves like a big bounce. Uh, I, I'm trying to figure out how to explain these things without like tons and tons of additional information that it would just be like long-winded and uninteresting to go through. Um, I don't know how to explain string theory in an easy way. But it's like essentially that everything eventually breaks down to uh, strings that exist in higher dimensions, uh, and that essentially things that are actualized in our dimension are like the vibrations of these strings. Okay. So I guess I didn't do that bad with it. That's a pretty decent explanation of what string theory is on the like most summarized and non-nuanced way of explaining it. Like I I always thought that string theory was a bit like this is the thing. The leading theories when it comes to like quantum physics are very speculative anyways. So like I can't see myself being super bought into any idea that strongly with the kinds of information that's generally going to be presented. Now, there's some things that we can totally know, like Einstein's theory of relativity. This works out in math and in observation. When we have math and observation, we sort of have like this holy unity of things, where we say, okay, this is like as true as we can get to true. Uh, but this is generally not how it's going to work in quantum mechanics. Sometimes in astrophysics, we'll have that and still be wrong because there'll be information that we thought, like, there'll just be new information that we end up getting that says, even though this model was like perfectly functional before, like the math worked out and the observations worked out, now that we have this new information, um, we don't know how to fit that new information into the math and still get the same results that were working before. So it can all be pretty goofy. And Mr. Girl supposing that the universe is inside of a black hole, or is a black hole, however you want to put it, um, even if he's correct, it literally doesn't fucking matter. Everything would still, like, all the laws of physics that we have still work the same way that they do. Our observations are still going to be exactly the same. And it essentially requires the black hole that he's talking about to not function in the same way that a regular black hole would function, because some of the signs that we would clearly be able to see being in a black hole would be present, and they're not. So some things, just like aside from the idea that we're not, I'm gonna have to write a lot of this out just because I'm trying to keep it tenable for people and intelligible. I find myself going to say things that like just really aren't going to mean anything because I'm skipping over a lot of stuff. So I'm trying to be really vague at the same time. So like the way that light moves would suggest that we're not in a black hole. The way that the universe is expanding and change speeds in its expansion during different points of the universe would suggest that we're not in a black hole. The expansion of the universe should be at a constant rate if we're in a black hole, the way at least that he initially suggested that we were in it. Because that would mean the thing that's, because he's claiming that's the cause of the expansion. The cause of the expansion is that is the gravitational pull of the black hole that we're in, then it would be a constant. There's no means by which the gravitational pull of a black hole causing us to expand could ever slow down and speed up. That alone is like total nonsense. But if he just wants to say that like the firmament, like the container of which that our universe is in, is this special kind of black hole, and I'm just going to attribute all the properties of the universe that we already know the universe has to this black hole, then like sure, I guess whatever. That's just a really weird way of labeling it. And like you're essentially just like choosing to call this like overarching container of the universe a black hole when we already have something called a black hole that has specific features that we can point to, and that's not what we're experiencing. So it would just have to be something different. I decided to call his black hole the universe is in a hypermassive black hole, like the next step up from a supermassive black hole. And also, it's inappropriate to call what he's been putting out there a theory. It's not a theory. He doesn't have data to back it up or anything like that. I just refer to it as a conjecture. And I refer to it as conjecture because upon initial review, he thinks that it's right. So it is his conjecture that there is a hypermassive black hole that exists our universe within, or is it? Depending on how it's like he says both, and like if I accept one, then I can accept the framing of the other, but I don't accept either. So I'm supposed to talk to him about it in the near future. So I think that's going to be interesting because I really want to be able to ask him questions. I wrote a Substack article about Mr. Girl's hypermassive black hole conjecture, and some people criticized it because I used AI to help me explain what some of my ideas are about my dismissal of like dark matter and dark energy, because I subscribe to plasma cosmology, which I just think is correct. And he criticized, which also Mr. Girl criticized and said that it's not widely accepted, but it's not that widely accepted, but that doesn't make it incorrect. The physics community is it's pretty dogmatic. If you go outside of the status quo, like the plasma cosmology model doesn't require the Big Bang to exist, and can explain a lot of the gaps that the Big Bang has in it, like the background radiation, why the universe sort of like sped up after the Big Bang and then slowed down, like these kinds of things that it has problems with. You don't really have a problem with the plasma-based model, but because basically all of physicists are bought into the Big Bang model, like the plasma cosmology model just kind of gets tossed out. And so I don't I reject his rejection of it. He's just saying that it's not that accepted. When I talk about the things that he's saying that are unpopular, I'm saying that they're unpopular for solid reasoning. That they are not essentially that they're not, the things that he has to claim to make up for his black hole conjecture are like, there's no reason to think that they are correct. Like plasma cosmology isn't accepted, but it hasn't by any stretch been disproven. Like if people are going to attempt to say that it's been disproven, they'll simply refer to how it conflicts with the Big Bang theory, and then not really sort of rationalize why you need to come up with all these different things that just sort of must exist to support the Big Bang theory. It's very silly to me. I think it's totally fine to say that there was a bang of sorts that may have populated some of the matter in our visible spectrum of the universe, like our part of the known universe. I would be okay with that, but I wouldn't say that that's what the universe is then. You could have some sort of like massive explosive event that generated or like to disperse a ton of matter. I don't care. That's fine. I have no reason to think that that's impossible, but I just wouldn't qualify that as the entire universe then. That seems a bit arrogant to me. I think that we can understand this one event and then from that say that this is the entire universe and how it happened, when there's other stuff that just can explain more phenomena with less made up mumbo jumbo. Have to fill it in. I did see some stuff about string theory being basically dead. I don't know. It seems far fetched, but like, the word basically is there for a reason. I'm pretty much of the camp that there's going to be some things in quantum physics that we won't be able to know. We just can't know. I feel pretty good about that. But I also formulated that opinion before we had AI. So if we can fit, well, yes, I don't think humans are going to solely have the capacity to understand everything that's going on at the quantum level, but maybe AI could help us out with that. I'm not sure. And if not, then maybe when we get nuclear computers, we could. But that seems probably a pretty far ways off. What?
When people are talking to somebody,
Oh
it
shit!
seems like a lot of times they're like super
No.
under the gun.
Okay.
There was like everybody in the fucking world talked to you,
Hey, the YouTube
and
video.
it changed the tone
maybe
in how I
stream.
talked to I talked to
Try to
Lab on
find
Monday,
it.
and it changed the tone in which I talked to her
No
because I had
calls.
this like pretty big realization. I think that when something happens,
hear me,
when
lady?
people are talking
Okay,
to
I took
somebody,
my phone off silent.
it seems
so
like
if
a
the
lot of times
laundromat
they're like
calls, you
super
can get
under
it.
the gun, and a lot of people are yelling. If a lot of people are talking about stuff, I think I don't know if we can really count what they say, Because I was watching that and I just thought, like,
Quantum
I don't know if I
computer's
could get
another
a
industry
coherent
that's about
thought
to
out that I would
self-implode.
stand by ever
Yeah,
in that
so we
situation.
don't really have. But
And
I
it
think
seems like a
that,
lot of the discourse when things are like really
wait, you
interesting,
still hear my
that's
voice
what
twice
happens. And
right now?
I guess I'm starting to get worried
I
about when
know
I
that
see
I
some
was for a
streams
minute
that if
because
this
I think
happens, like I just basically have
one
to
of
go, okay,
my
nothing means anything
streams
because
that
if
I have
somebody's
up wasn't
drowning like
muted.
this, I don't know if I could hold them accountable for anything that they say. Because like, fuck, I don't know how you can get your thoughts out. Now, like
Hang
somebody
on.
like you're fucking born in this shit. Like I know that you
Oh,
can do that like super well, but I think
I
it's a
see.
very, very, very rare.
Okay. Sorry about that. I thought me muting it would fix that and it didn't. Somewhere is the video that I was watching last time on stream, and it was when I was talking to Destiny because there's the whole subreddit war thing. So that was playing, and I thought if I hit mute, then it would not play that. So my bad. I'm glad that it got fixed. It wasn't coming from my OBS. Well, so yeah, it was coming from OBS because it was coming from the YouTube tab that I have open. I hit my headphones and I hit play on that video for some reason. I have no idea why. Since we're on the subject, quantum physics, I want to share my favorite piece of information that I kind of already talked about quantum physics. So like when they had the mirror up, the reflection rate of light when it goes through glass, I believe it's at 2. The exact numbers don't matter, but if you aim a laser at a piece of glass and you have a 2% reflection rate, if you double it, you'll get a 4% reflection rate. If you double it again, you'll get an 8% reflection rate. Double it again, you'll get a 16% reflection rate. And if you double it again, it'll go back down to 2%. And I got like physically ill when I tried to like really process that. Like my stomach hurt. I lost a bunch of energy. There's been 2 times in my whole life that reading about physics has overwhelmed me like mentally to the point to where I physically didn't feel good. The first time was that first little book on physics that I read, and the second time was reading about the rate of reflection, doubling, then dropping back down to the original. I think I just feel like I overloaded my brain. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Okay, this should be safe to show. Just to help some people who have no fucking clue about what any of this is talking about, I figured show you just this is the thing that like I got started on. I sort of like got super interested in physics.
What they taught us in school isn't really the way it is. And
That was in reference to the size of an atom. I gotta resize this for you guys. So yeah, like when he said what they taught us in school isn't the way things really are. So the diagrams that you see of atoms in school, they're garbage. They show like the nucleus, and then they show the electron ring, all being pretty close together. But like, if it was like the scale, if my head was the nucleus of an atom, the electrons would be like closer to like 30 miles away. The scale is just like super goofy. And they also don't go around in circles, obviously. They go around 3-dimensionally in the electron clouds. It's kind of goofy. This is an example of the double slit experiment. Like my favorite representation of it. I just think they did a good job.
You just gotta wonder, what is this reality that we find ourselves in? Quantum physics says it's all just waves of information. Do I believe that? I hope so. Yikes! And here we are, the granddaddy of all quantum weirdness, the infamous double slit experiment. To understand this experiment, we first need to see how particles, or little balls of matter, act. If we randomly shoot a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the...
Jenny Burns, thank you very much for resubscribing to me on Twitch for 13 months. You're my #1 Twitch fan. I appreciate you. Old Man to the Rescue. That's Dr. Alan Wolf animated. He's a pretty cool physicist. He's pretty idealistic, but I like him. I like his attitude a lot. You fly a drone up to the sky and see the sunset twice in ideal conditions. That's weird. I didn't know that. Oh. Scrolled all the way down. Just modeling the correct distance and scale from Earth to the sun. Visualize double sunset is crazy difficult. I would imagine so. Yeah, I could watch this, like, I could watch anything on physics over and over again and not get sick of it. I've probably seen this video like 20 times at this point.
Now, let's look at waves.
I appreciate you, Jenny, a lot.
The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line with the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This
I'm going to try not to talk through it.
is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference pattern on the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing. So, when we throw things, that is, matter, through two slits, we get this, two bands of hits. And with waves, we get an interference pattern of many bands.
Alright, now get ready to have your brains melted through your fucking eyeballs.
Good so far.
If you don't already know
Now,
about this.
Let's go quantum. An electron is a tiny, tiny bit of matter, like a tiny marble. Let's fire a stream through one slit. It behaves just like the marble, a single band. So, if we shoot these tiny bits through two slits, we should get, like the marbles, two bands. What? An interference pattern. We fired electrons, tiny bits of matter through. But we get a pattern like waves, not like little marbles. How? How could pieces of matter create an interference pattern?
Oh, please
like a
do,
wave?
Soylot.
It doesn't make
Wait a minute.
sense. But
Soyaddle. That's a good name.
physicists are clever. They thought maybe those little balls are bouncing off each other and creating that pattern. So they decide to shoot electrons
This video is
through
great.
one at a time. There is no way they can interfere with each other.
The movie that it's from is fantastic too. It's called What the Bleep Do We Know Down the Rabbit Hole. Obviously, you know I'm comfortable with swearing. That's the actual title.
But after an hour of this, the same interference pattern is seen to emerge. The conclusion is inescapable. The single electron leaves as a particle, becomes a wave of potentials, goes through both slits, and interferes with itself to hit the wall like a particle. But mathematically, it's even stranger. It goes through both slits, and it goes through neither. And it goes through just one, and it goes through just the other. All of these possibilities are in superposition with each other. Physicists were completely baffled by this. So they decided to peek and see which slit it actually goes through. put a measuring device by one slit to see which one it went through and
Thank you. I muted because my wife is on the phone. I forgot. Did you watch the full version, Elk, or did you watch or so like there's a 3 hour version and there's like a 6.5 hour version of the movie. I've watched both
let it fly.
a couple times.
But the quantum world is far more mysterious than they could have imagined. When they observed, the electron went back to behaving like a little marble. It produced a pattern of 2 bands, not an interference pattern of many. The very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not both. The electron decided to act differently, as though it was aware it was being watched. It was here that physicists stepped forever into the strange never-world of quantum events. What is matter? Marbles or waves? And waves of what? And what does an observer have to do with any of this? The observer collapsed the wave function simply by observing.
Yeah, another really strange behavior that light does sometimes is we call it sniffing. It'll sniff the shortest path before it gets to the end, which is how glasses work. The way that your glasses are curved, so the way the glasses work is that instead of the light going through like normal, it curves the light, making it think that there's a shorter path than there really is. So the light will sniff that out and go that way. Electricity does it too. Like if you ever wondered why electricity always flows the shortest path, it can't know ahead of time. It's not like electricity is intelligent and has the ability to like foresee the future and know that like this is the path I'm going to take because this is what's going to get me to the ground the shortest. It sniffs it out in advance, which is super weird as well. It's kind of one of the really weird mysteries about these subatomic particles and why they behave the way they do. Which is also kind of part of my claim about the Michelson-Morley experiment disproving the ether. I just don't believe that. We have other examples to show that light gets where it's going at the same speed. Oh man, Electro Boom and Veritasium. Did you see the electricity conversation? No, I didn't. Shoot, I clicked off of the thing, but I'm gonna now. Well, like, not right this minute, but I'm gonna watch it. 'Cause I like that shit. So I don't want to get too crazy with just physics stuff. I want to try to find like a individual before I talk to Mr. Girl, just to talk to, just so I can get more used to talking about things. Because the way things work in my head aren't always super easy to put into words, especially words that are gonna get understood by like an audience. Like with my buddy, I could even like I could shortcut like a lot of things that I'm trying to say because we've talked for so long. Or we might have like a word or something for a particular type of phenomenon to like shortcut a bunch of unnecessary jargon. And so I just think I need to flex my physics discussion muscle before I talk to him again. But if anybody sees any of his stuff about the black hole thing and thinks that it makes sense, feel free to reach out and I'll help remedy that. Oh, okay, that's not my Discord. That makes so much sense. So Yaddle, are you in the Discord? Well, you don't have to be by any stretch, but I sent you an invite just in case you want to be. Yeah, and unfortunately, there is still no set time for Mr. Grill and I to discuss the black hole thing, but it's gonna happen. He already told me it would, so it will. Oh, I do have one other. I have one single other reason why I'm saying that I'm like infinitely more credible when it comes to the subject than Mr. Grill would be. If I haven't demonstrated that I understand this stuff yet, which I hope I did. I don't. Me knowing that I know this stuff isn't the same as me being able to demonstrate it, so I don't know how well I've done in that respect, but I hope I did. I talked about it in my Discord. When I talk to my friend about physics like almost every day, oh yeah, I know how that goes with having too many Discords. Um, I came up with a thought experiment where said we could examine a photon uh, much better if we put it through liquid helium that's cooled to I don't know how to say the number, but it's like negative, and then uh, it's as close as we can get to 0 degrees Kelvin or like absolute zero. It's as close as we can produce to that. I said if you shot some individual photons through like a mirror maze, and then you have some of this liquid helium inside of that, then it would slow down basically to a stop out of necessity, and we should be able to observe a photon basically stopped in motion. And so that's just my thought experiment. And I was watching like Discovery Science, and somebody did that experiment, and it worked. I jumped off the couch with a bunch of mixed emotions because, like, on one hand, I was like overjoyed that like I was never going to be able to perform that experiment, but somebody did it, and my hypothesis was correct. So I felt super validated, and I felt like oh, I'm so smart. Look at me, like I figured this thing out, and I felt really good about it. Then I was also like really mad because like I thought of that like a year or two prior to that happening. I have no idea. Like it could have been like a month or like several years prior to that. I have no remembrance of that, but I have a feeling it'd been quite a long time since I came up with that thought experiment, and so I didn't know how to. I still don't necessarily know how to feel about it, but like I'm thinking in the correct ways, like where I'm able to have my thought experiment, just this one at least, produced in a lab and come up with the uh, produce the result that I anticipated that it would. Um, I haven't been able to find anything online about that experiment though, which is pretty weird. And the guy that I talked to, he had a theory about how you could make a time machine. Uh, but somebody at a college, he sent me the video of that too after like uh years after we talked about it, where somebody speculated the same thing and they created. I mean, obviously it didn't pan out, it didn't work, but at least he was thinking in the same tune as like very educated people on the subject were. So like we're two amateurs having like amateur physics conversations, but we were still coming to the same conclusions as people who had pretty good education and were at least able to get those ideas funded. Like our ideas were fundable. So that always made me feel pretty validated that we weren't just like insane people shooting in the dark. And we also came up with a theoretical equation to express the exact numbers of uh, universes that would be well, an equation that would represent the number at any point which you ran it. It would properly express the number of like universes that would exist if the multiverse theory, where every possibility creates its own individual universe. We came up with an equation to express how you would go about getting that number if you plugged in all the variables. I was lucky enough to visit LIGO after the physics handed off to engineers. Kind of shitty partial stream up some. Kind of have a shitty partial stream up somewhere. Like you have one? But I'd like to see that. I tried really hard when I was late teens to go to Caltech. Uh, essentially, I never took the SAT in high school. I just dropped out, got my GED early, so I knew I'd have to take the SAT, but I was pretty confident I could score good enough on it to go wherever I wanted. That wasn't really an issue for me. But I couldn't get any of the money. So even if they accepted me, uh, everything that I applied to try to see how much money I could get, there's no fucking shot. Yeah, probably on Yes TV, looking. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Shit, I was expecting Elk's video to fill up a lot of time. And don't get me wrong, I can talk about physics a lot, but I don't know how productively I can talk about physics for a long stretch of time. Somebody just got implanted with Neuralink yesterday. I really did like that debate though. I think that Knack is gonna do good things. He seems like a really good debater. Okay, Lego videos are in self promo. Sick. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna like more or less take a break. Try to regroup myself and come back and stream at like my more normalish times later in the evening. I want to find if oh my god, if any of you guys can find where Destiny, Erudite, and Mr. Girl had their conversation, the three of them, that's like one of the videos that's missing from the whole thing that I've been doing. I would love to watch that over. That's like my favorite Destiny stream. It's my favorite Erudite stream. It's my favorite Mr. Girl stream. And it's like one of the things that's missing from this. And you know what? Maybe. My dad was a physics professor, retired now. No idea if he has any interest. Looks like there's 85 of them. I never looked at them. Astrophysics. Would oh, if his papers have any interest. I'm interested. Also, you let him know if he ever wants to talk about physics. I would love to interview him about his job. That would be so cool. No pressure, obviously, on you, but not gonna not throw it out there. I don't know if I ever talked to an actual physicist before. I talked to somebody at MIT before, but I think that's it. They're kind of a asshole. Drop the link on Discord. Sick, dude. Now that I'm thinking about it, that might just be like further. It might be closer to where we're at than I thought. I started working my new job, working on nuclear. Might be willing to talk about it after I'm more well adjusted to it. I would appreciate that. That would be awesome. Oh, dude, that's fucking sick, Elk. His profile picture for this research page, I gotta say, he's the most physicist-y looking guy I've ever seen in my life. Government audited hours hurts my soul after 10 years in games. Government audited hours. Oh, I see. Yeah, dude. If somebody said just like imagine like the template of what a physicist looks like I picture something very similar to what he looks like in this picture. It's so funny. Which unfortunately translates to like looks like a very boring dude, but I would find him to be a very interesting person. But I like a lot of people that people think are boring because I have very boring interests. When I whenever like I talk to somebody in real life about what I'm doing, if you're talking about you're doing every 15 minutes, uh fuck, that sounds terrible. Whenever I tell somebody about like they find out that I stream, like, oh, what do you stream about? I just say like a bunch of boring stuff that nobody cares about is what I always say because I don't think that like politics and like social commentary is very interesting to most people. And if they are interested in politics, I probably don't want to talk to them about it. Um, Part of being like even a viewer in this space, I think it makes it really hard to talk to the average person about politics because you're just going to be like so much more aware of so much nuance involved in different things, and when you talk to somebody who's just like an average like news consumer or like politics consumer, they're just not going to be able to have like a you're not going to be able to have like a really coherent conversation with them about these things unless you really dumb down what you're saying, or they're extremely patient and let you walk them through like a bunch of nonsense to get to where the point you're trying to lead them to. And then uh, if they disagree and argue, they're probably going to drop off a lot of stuff that you just explained. So it's tough. So yeah, that sounds like shit. I don't envy that at all. Yeah, I'm gonna take a couple hour break then, since I can't do Elk's video. Oh my god, what a career! Another little fun fact about me. I tried to sign up for. I'll leave you with this before I go for a bit. Um, I tried to sign up for the army when I was 19 or 20, and I did like insanely good on the ASVAB. They're like, you can basically have whatever job you want. Uh, when I did the pre-test, I had like a bunch of little kids running and screaming around and stuff. So the recruiter that I talked to, like, was just like, "Oh my God, yeah, I'm sure you'll do way better on the actual test because like under those circumstances, I couldn't imagine uh how you perform this well." I'm like, the test wasn't that hard, dude. Like I don't think that like I'm like insanely smart or anything. The test isn't that bad. But basically, when I went in and I talked to like his boss or whatever, I could basically get whatever job I wanted. I failed my drug test, but I told him I was gonna fail a drug test. I asked if I had to take a drug test when I got there. They said no. I said cool. And when we got there, the dude was like, "You tested positive for a lot of stuff." I was like, "Yeah, I know. I said that I could pass a drug test in a few weeks, but like, I told him I couldn't pass it. I don't know why you guys drug tested me. I knew I wasn't gonna pass. Like, I can just stop doing drugs. That's not a problem. But like, I couldn't have already stopped doing them because I didn't. Uh, and what I really wanted, like the one thing that I really wanted to do was I wanted to do like nuclear research or basically anything that they could take me, uh, like any place they could take me in terms of like being involved with like nuclear research or any kind of like nuclear physics stuff. And they were like, there's just no openings for that kind of thing. Like, I guess that's not how you get a job doing that through the army. So I was a lot less interested after that. But the reason I didn't end up going into the army was because I owed money on child support with my kid who I lived with, same address as my child and everything. But they said that you can't. I was like, but I'll pay it off with my signing bonus. Like, that's not how it works. I'm like, okay. But yeah, that's it for now. I'm gonna be back on later after I come up with a new game plan. Thanks for watching. Peace out. And thanks again, Jenny, for resubscribing on Twitch. Super, super.